One, two, three. Hello, and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
This better be good. If I don't get a full night's sleep, I'm cranky all day.
Well, we're not forcing you to be here, but we're glad that you joined us. I am your host.
I'm indifferent.
He's a renegade. Renegade? No. Free-spirited, perhaps.
Your free-spirited host, Davok.
Nice.
Or Davik.
A little bit of a reach, but it's all right. I'll let it slide.
Davik. All right, yeah. And, with me as always, I have a co-host.
Without you,
I would have come.
Dude, that can't be the right clip.
That's good.
Multiple Mondre.
That's fine. I like that. If only
How you
I
doing,
could say that was
Mondre?
the first time I've heard that in my life. Good, man. Good. How are you? Life's good.
Good. Yeah, life's good. We have a guest, which makes life even better, don't you think?
I know. I'm very excited. One of my favorite people.
It's just like before. The guy is trouble.
I mean, that
really
may be
good.
true,
Yeah.
but David Cutler is here, but colder.
Is Dave our Bobby Drake? Did he storm off in a rage and then he's coming back now?
Sometimes it seems like it, doesn't it?
No one's ever mentioned me in the last 20 years.
You were just fathering him too hard, Andre.
That's right. I did. I fell back into my fatherly ways, and I didn't be a friend as I should have been.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I think that's what our relationship was, Dave. When we lived together, I was just a dad to you.
Exactly that.
Like I said, welcome everybody. Yeah, we are your hosts. Dave is our guest. We're here to review Season 3, Episode 11 of X-Men, the animated series, entitled Cold Comfort.
Indeed. So, Dave, you specifically wanted to come in on this episode without going into the episode. Why?
Written by Len Ellie.
I think just as a kid, the more superheroes were in something, the better I thought it was, or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my whole logic. Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys in that episode. I don't know anything to say this mess. So.
Man, you'd be I know you do catch the show occasionally. I'm not sure how dedicated you are as a fan, but you'd be surprised how often that's the case when you're watching these. You're like, oh man, it was so cool when this guy did that, or these guys are all together. Then you rewatch, and you're like, oh, this isn't cool at all.
No,
you're like, oh, remember when the Morlocks were in the sewer and there was this thing, and it's like, oh, that's not that great at all. It seemed better when I was younger. Maybe that's what this podcast should be called. It seemed better when we were younger.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No,
though.
it is still great.
Really good,
especially the first couple seasons and the Dark Phoenix stuff. It's just some of the connecting tissue maybe doesn't hold up later on.
Sometimes
there's some odd things that come down the line later involving what X-Men are considered original X-Men and not, and who. I feel like there's some wires were crossed later in the show when it comes.
This is actually again, not to skip ahead, but this is the one time we flash back and see an old version of the team.
Yeah,
and Angel isn't on it.
Yes, but in the show
we knew that.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be. He's not supposed to be on it, but
no.
Every other time you flash back, he's on the team.
Yeah, and they I was going to bring that up later, but it's not actually in this episode that you see a flashback involving him. So, but yes, it does show Angel on the team all the time whenever they flash back before. Although I would love to see, do they do an episode in the future where it's, oh hey Millie, that's not
this is Arcade.
Oh, it's Arcade. Yeah. Oh my goodness, he looks angry.
Oh yeah, he's a savage beast.
Do you have a little bow tie for him like Arcade?
I should get one.
You gotta get a little bow tie. Also, how could you not get an orange cat and call it Arcade? Arcade is famously a redhead.
Because I had him long before I had orange cats. I wanted to name him after one of my favorite X-Men villains. Actually, so like I said, this episode's written by Len Ellie, who will maybe be on the show if Andre ever figures out Twitter.
I did figure out Twitter, and I did try.
Okay,
but he didn't answer me.
Okay, so maybe not. Well, you never know. Anything can happen on this show.
Does he have an email? Hey Sam.
Hey Sam.
Well, we're going to catch up
Yeah.
with Dave? Do your little segment?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, whoa! You do. No one predicts my segments but me.
I know them better than you do.
Apparently so. Well, actually, I got something to do before that. Sorry, Dave. We'll catch up with you in 1 second.
That's all right. I was expecting catch up to come up after the show, but
No.
after
No.
episode.
There's many clips for that as well.
Oh, we have 1,000 segments.
We got to rewind for a second, like it's apostrophe 92.
Oh God!
Because I made a mistake last episode.
Oh no!
Well, it was a season 3 episode, so I just had assumed it was directed by Larry Houston, but of course, Longshot was completed during season 5. So it was in fact directed by Frank Squillis with Fred Miller supervising.
What a cool name,
Squillis. Frank Squillis, yeah.
Squillis. It sounds like something you make up, like when it's like someone's asking you your name and you want to lie, but you just have to look around the room and like come up with something. You're like, Squid, Tara Squillis. I'm Squillis, John Squillis. Yes, thank you.
And I guess while we're rewinding, like it's apostrophe 92, something our guest last episode mentioned, Chris Murphy, because he was playing it, I guess, the last episode while we were talking during the podcast, and it ran into this one, and he's pretty sure that Iceman kills these guards.
Yeah, he did mention
that. We'll get you guys' thoughts on that.
I mean, he does freeze people a lot, and they'd seem to be okay in the show. But anyway,
all right, now the segment we've all been waiting for.
Oh, boy.
Before we begin, Dave, are you method? Like, did you turn the heat down in your room, or you just have ice packed on you somewhere? Like, how are you colder? Or emotionally, are you more emotionally colder? It says the weight of the years added more sadness to your eternal warmth.
Just ice, man. That's it.
I stayed in short sleeves even on this cold, rainy evening. So
yeah, it's not that cold. You're in Nova Scotia. Come on, it's a balmy day.
Yeah, well.
A nice balmy.
I get cold easy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So catching up with Cutler. Tell us, Dave.
Yeah, catching up with Cutler.
So what do I say here?
What have you been up to since
what
last?
You been up to, man? How are things over at the House of Ideas? You know, what's good? What's new?
Because I had COVID. That was the big, horrible thing.
Oh, how'd that hit you?
Almost as bad as the first time, and the first time was like pre-vaccine. Like that was like the old days of COVID.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it lasted like 2.5 weeks, and I still have like a kind of a chronic cough. But
really,
testing negative. So
that's good.
Our audience will forgive you if you cough during the show.
I'll do my best.
I won't. They might, but I will. I will send you a frosty letter, sir, after this ends. Well, that's terrible, but how's work going?
Work-wise, X-Men and Moon Girl came out a week ago, something like that.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
What? I got to get that shit.
I didn't notice it. Crap! I got to go get that. I'm gonna run out and get
by the Twitter reaction, nobody noticed it. But
no. We should have promoted that on our show.
Yeah. I should have promoted it somewhere. That's for sure.
Oh, that's a shame. So, is there still more to come, or was that it?
It's like the end of a series of crossovers anyway, so it wasn't meant to continue. But I think Moon Girl will get a new ongoing series before the winter.
Will you be involved with that, or is that
no? I think the original creators. I'm honestly not sure, but maybe not, because I think they're trying to age it up like the tiniest bit. Like the first volume was kind of for like 8-year-olds, and this one is meant to be for like preteens and teens. So I think they're trying to mature it up a little bit. And then I just did something I can't talk about yet for Marvel Digital, like their Unlimited comics.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't know when that'll be out. Before the fall, before November.
Can you give us a series of elaborate clues that we could try to decipher on air?
I don't know what
pretty elaborate.
So I don't know. It sums up the origin stories of a character and all their adventures up to this point, basically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
fun.
very
Is that like
cool.
a thing where they're going to catch you up with multiple characters? Is this part of a series, or can you? Remember?
I don't think they were really connected, but there were a few up already. Are they up? I know
Is
I
it
read one.
multiple
There's
man?
like no. Isn't it? Nobody X-related. There's a few up now. There's like who is Jane Foster Thor? Maybe
Oh,
who's
so
Scarlet Witch. There's a few up.
so they kind of align with what's going on in the when they're being featured in Marvel movies per se.
That may be true.
Yeah, they're just kind of picking characters that are to catch you up with the comic history of the characters that are showing up on live TV. I look forward to seeing the
Well, there's a hint.
what? Okay, good.
There's a hint because it's something. It does correspond with something coming up.
Abomination. No. Thunderbolts. No. Well, that could be it. No. USA.
Yelena Belova.
She would be one that could probably use an update because I there's a big gap in my memory of what she did in the comics beyond.
Oh yeah,
her origin, and then didn't she become like an android or something? It's or not an android, but like an adaptoid or something at one point.
You know more than me. All I know are those
first series, the painted series that
the Greg Horn covers. It's all I've ever seen of Yelena.
Well, wasn't she introduced in the Scarlet Witch Marvel Knights series? That one when that like they did that when Frank Miller or when Garth Ennis was doing Punisher, and remember they had all these launches at the same time. In Black Widow.
I thought it was a Bendis Marvel Knights book where they introduced her, but I don't know.
Oh, really? I thought she was in that before, and I can't remember who was writing it. But it was because I remember they used to put out that Marvel Knights magazine that had like issues from those comics in it. And I used to have they were beautifully painted. I just can't or drawn, but I can't remember who was writing.
Oh, no, not Bendis at all. Devin Grayson and J.G. Jones.
Yes, J.G. Jones did the art. Yeah, that's why it was. I remember the art so much. I loved his art. Yes, I just can't remember.
Number 5. What the hell? Why? I read that. I don't remember. That's the Inhuman series by Paul Jenkins and.
Yep, I had the trade of all that. Yeah.
What the heck is Black Widow doing in there? Or a Black Widow?
Well, that may have been connected to when they were having those crossovers because all the issues were kind of not connected, like in that they had real overlaps, but they were like part of this line, like this new Marvel Knights line they're putting out. That's when Garth Ennis started doing his normal Marvel Universe version of Punisher before the Max version, and then all the other stuff. But that's the one that Welcome Back Frank was in that story, was in that run when that came out. Where they put Punisher back from being like an angel or something back to being a normal human being that just killed gangsters. So, comics are weird.
I almost forgot.
What's that?
Previously on X-Men.
Come on, kid. Let's head home.
Is that it?
Would you rather the super weird out of place ending?
It's not
Whoops.
the heat, it's the humidity.
Oh wait, that's what
There you
it
go.
those guys are the best. Highlight.
They were the best.
They were like really campaigning for a second appearance.
This ending.
Now, self-friends beast, Forge.
Oh, yeah.
Your world is doomed.
Let's give you like a whole.
Wait, you guys haven't done that episode yet. There's no way.
No, they did.
No,
It was a mistake. Because since that episode was originally aired in season 5, and they put it back in its right placement at the end when they go to the next episode, or at the end of the credits, they show some stuff from the next episode, which isn't actually the next episode in the proper sequence. It's
the Phalanx stuff.
Way ahead, so we see Phalanx.
Because Forge is in that, and Beast already knows Forge. So
yes, we don't meet Forge till this episode. Well, the version of Forge the younger version of Forge. Not the old version that's continually Groundhog Day and Wolverine or Bishop all the way into the past.
Let's call him middle-aged Forge.
Middle-aged Forge? Okay. He seems like young Forge.
He's not that.
He's fairly young.
All right. Chipper Forge.
Chipper Forge. Not beaten down by the weight of the years, Forge.
No, definitely not. Actually, that Forge is hilarious.
Unjaded Forge.
Just like, what are you doing here?
He's like, what are you doing
if
back
you were
here?
a time traveler, I wouldn't remember you. So, what's up, buddy?
Well, let's take your time again to try to fix something else, only for that not to work.
Yeah. Anyway, why don't you take us through the episode, Andre?
Okay. So this episode is called Cold Comfort, and it opens with a storage depot, which is named Kirby Glen Storage Depot, number 1917. Which Eagle, I was going to say for a point, but it seems pretty obvious that this is likely a nod to X-Men co-creator Jack Kirby. I'm not sure where the Glen comes from.
Yeah.
Nobody can, according to the internet. However,
Okay.
Jack Kirby was born in 1917, so that may be why
Oh, wow.
it says 1917, which is a nice little nod towards Mr. Kirby. Then we meet these two delightfully inept and hilarious security guards who
Yeah, they're great.
you might as well play that clip again. Who's arguing over why it's so warm in their little place.
It's not the heat, it's the humidity.
There you go again. Every night the same thing. I say heat, you say humidity.
He's like, and it's hot. He's like, yeah, but it's the humidity that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, they just argue about the
Like,
air.
He's like, no, it doesn't. It makes me wet.
He says something like, it makes me sweat. You make me uncomfortable or something like that. Although, does the voice of that one guard not sound deceptively close to Homer Simpson?
Yeah, I was going to say that. He's doing his best Homer impression.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid Homer Simpson impression. I'm not sure who the other guy's impersonating, but it does very
I don't know, Barney.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah. So then we see a security camera checking out. There's lasers. We get kind of a vibe of what's going on. There's a mist coming. The two of them are still arguing whether it's too hot or the humidity until all of a sudden it gets incredibly cold. And then we see the door bust open. Doesn't seem like Iceman came. Well, then we see Iceman enter and essentially shoot the guys with ice. But before one can totally get iced over, he presses an alert.
Possibly total them. Who knows?
Yeah.
A lot of ice.
I mean, I feel as though he probably didn't kill them. So, he's supposed to be.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah, he knows.
Although this would be the poor animation studio, right? That did this one.
It's not the worst, but
it's not the worst, but it's definitely not
off model. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of tell when it's a different the other anime. We'll call it Animation Studio B for lack of a better term, because there are things in this that are cool, but there's some bewildering side angles of beasts that make them look completely different and some other characters too.
It's just so jarring because we'll call them, I guess, Animation Studio A.
Yes.
We're just getting really, really good, and we were commenting on how great the animation was getting, and then all of a sudden they start working with Animation Studio B and start dropping those in there, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, Iceman does look kind of cool.
now.
There's some strange design choices in this when sometimes he's see-through, sometimes he's not. I'm not sure if that's just an error in the animation or something they were trying to do. It makes no sense to me that he would be, because like this Bobby Drake just dissipate and become ice until he doesn't. I'd assumed he just had covered his body in ice.
Now in the comics, he can completely dissipate.
Really? So he's like Hydro Man. He just becomes water, frozen.
Yeah,
water.
he's essentially unkillable now.
Yeah,
really.
You can evaporate him, and he'll just like rain back,
reform in a cloud, and then rain back down.
And he basically has multiple man's powers too. He can make himself like a million different ice guys.
So how did this happen?
He's just remember he used to wear that belt to stop himself from being so powerful.
Did he become gay and then a god after that? Like what was the line?
It's just he's an Omega level mutant, and their powers have no upper limit.
It's like
so they just got better at it.
In the early '90s, like Emma Frost possesses him, and she starts using his powers in like all these ways that he never did, basically. And she like shows him that he's like been holding himself back, and it's been kind of a journey since then of like now he's one of the most powerful X-Men.
Well, are they still carrying on like the thing that Grant Morrison sort of put into his X-Men that like you keep evolving, like how Beast evolved into like a cat thing? I know that's sort of been undone, but is that still a thing that you can evolve further with your powers?
Secondary mutations.
It comes up once in a blue moon. I think like Nature Girl just evolved into a second form.
There's a Nature Girl? Man, I got a lot to learn.
She's got like the big antlers.
So she's Sweet Tooth?
Yeah, she's
more or less. Yeah, she's certainly not A-list, but
well, the name like Nature
certainly
Girl,
not B or C list, but
yeah, I don't know what the Nature
strong
Girl
D-lister.
Strong D-lister. That's like being like the best player on the the fourth string.
Somewhere between Rockslide and iBoy.
Oh, iBoy. Oh, is Glob Herman somewhere in there?
Oh, Glob's cool. Actually, iBoy's pretty cool too. The way they've been.
iBoy's not bad.
Anyway.
Yeah, I like Rockslide too.
So then we cut back.
Yeah, I like Rockslide too.
Now Rockslide is Wrong Slide. That's what they're calling him now. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not himself anymore because he died on Otherworld. So you don't come back as yourself.
Really? If you die off-world?
No, in
Well, there's
Otherworld.
a specific realm called Otherworld. If you die there, they can only bring back your body, not your like soul, essentially. So you
They
come
essentially
back-
will. I think the way they explained it best was it's like it's taking you from somewhere else in the multiverse. Essentially, it's just like a different version of you from somewhere else. Yeah.
Man, has Rick and Morty changed everything about comics?
That a Rick and Morty thing?
Yeah, 100%. You got to watch that show, dude. It's the best. I just
watched the first couple seasons.
Oh, you got to watch more. It's so good.
Yeah.
I just watched a new episode of the new season. It's fantastic. The first episode.
Are they up to Vindicators 5 yet?
No, but they did have a miniseries in between just before the season launched. That was like a prequel showing a bunch of Vindicators adventures, which is pretty good. All right, so let me cut back to Professor.
Like some impulsive child.
Cut back to Professor X, who now inexplicably always wears his what I call battle uniform. He never doesn't seem to wear his suit as much as he used to anymore, since we established that he sometimes wears a kind of an army vest with the X-Men logos on the shoulders.
The Jim Lee number.
Yes. Also gloves a lot. He wears a lot of brown gloves now, which is interesting. But anyway, they're trying to fix it. And it's like, do you have this dialogue where he's like, yes,
to
it was me.
himself.
No, he's just explaining what, like, it's just a bunch of medical ridiculousness jargon, or not medical, scientific jargon they just throw in that means nothing to like make him sound smart. Oh,
No.
of course, I had to change the ruptured plasma inverter from the, from the glass encasement of dreams that was causing the problems. Like, and then we're all just supposed to nod and go, yes, that makes sense. Yes.
And
yes.
Jubilee is like, well, I'll just get another one from the store.
Oh, hop in the jet and go.
Yeah, the plasma inverter store. Let's go.
And then like Professor X is like Jubilee, and like I love the whole thing is like how he's not like there's kind of this see-through that he overparented Bobby is kind of a story that comes later, but he's just doing the same thing to Jubilee like the entire time. He's
I never connected that because like telling a child who doesn't know how to fly a plane they can't fly a plane isn't exactly overparenting.
No, that's true.
Like it's
but
like the bare minimum that he should be doing.
he does say something along the lines of like stop acting like a petulant child or something, but then he then she's upset that he's treating her like
keep
one.
acting like some impulsive child. No, Jubilee. You stay here and prepare the infirmary in case we need it.
But
That's an order, young lady.
the infirmary? What am I, a candy striper?
That's a dated reference for a
I
teenager
thought
from
so
the
too.
90s. How does she know what a candy striper is?
Is it? Because like the girls
Like
that Saved by the
50s.
Bell were candy stripers in one episode.
Well, that's like a throwback to like the 50s.
I thought maybe America still had them. I don't know. I don't even actually know what the fuck they are, to be honest.
They do. They charge a lot. Tell you that much.
A better question would be, why do you have an encyclopedic knowledge of Saved by the Bell, Dave?
Oh, because it came on at 7:30 in the morning on TBS in Newfoundland. So like I'd be ready for school, but like I'd have like half an hour till the bus came. So I would watch Saved by the Bell. So I've seen every episode maybe 5 times.
It's for the same reason when I had the apartment, the basement apartment, and I had the Comedy Network. Every morning I'd get up and I'd eat my breakfast and I'd watch Bosom Buddies. So I've seen a ridiculous amount of Tom Hanks's first TV show than him and Peter Scolari than most people probably have. But anyway, to answer your question, Candy Stripers were assistant nurses. They would take out trash, change beds, do that sort of stuff. They didn't do any like real medical stuff, but they did like the less
Janitors.
Yeah, essentially, kind of.
Only Lisa was a candy striper, so I take that back.
All right, there you go. But yes, that is an old term that has been used for a very, very long time. So anyway, back to the episode. So Jubilee wants to take the jet to go get the plasma inverter. That's not what it's called, but whatever it is. He says he gets mad at her for wanting to take the jet. She says, bust it. Like, did she really think she was going to get away with that? If you're like, I don't have a license, I'm like, Dad's like, oh man, I ran out of, pop. And I'm like, all right, Dad, I'll take the car to the store and get some pop. Like, and you think he just would be like, okay, here's the keys. Wait a minute after I'm driving away. Like, come on. So anyway, there's this little exchange between them basically. Then they get the message on Cerebro or whatever it is, the computer that has the monotone Professor X voice.
Bobby. Robert Drake, also known as Iceman.
It's funny. There was like 30 seconds there where it was just professor and the computer talking. Which
I love
also
like
the
if I
professor.
made an all-knowing computer that I could answer my questions or do all the scan the world, do this sort of stuff. I don't think I could listen to my own voice through it all the time. It'd be
It's
so
the
weird.
easiest thing to sample.
I guess, but you think you could change it to something else or get somebody else to say it? I don't know. It just seems really.
Yeah,
strange.
you'd make it sound like David or something.
Yeah, I'd 100% hire Dave to be my voice for my computer.
I do like my best Andre impression the whole time.
I'm curious. What's your Andre impersonation sound like?
Oh, like Randall from Clerks.
Do I still sound like Randall from Clerks? Has that not aged out?
No, it's somewhere in your nose.
37. So anyway,
37
in a row. So I love that movie. Anyway, so we get we get a message on the old Cerebro there that somebody's attacking this government installation. This computer can do everything, really. It must be a satellite that just is constantly circling the Earth, or 100 satellites, because it can tell who's attacking where, who they are. It can get like a real in-depth look at them from a level that seems to be on the ground, meaning the Professor X must just have cameras everywhere, constantly monitoring everyone all the time. This is a real
Geotech now.
Real precursor to 1984. Big Brother is watching, and he is bald.
He can read your mind.
Yeah. So then, of course, we get a zoom
Thought
in on
crimes.
Yeah.
You know what
So we get it. Also, it seems to scan into, like, it shows Bobby Drake in his ice form, and then it seems to scan in and show his human form. So it can even see through his ice form and show what his human form looks underneath. This technology is amazing.
That's pretty good.
Then, of course, we see, we acknowledge that Bobby Drake was on the team before, kind of, but Jubilee is sort of still wondering as to who he is. Then we cut to Wolverine waking up at 12:07. Like to point out, in the afternoon, and hearing the alarm, getting upset and smashing it with his claws.
You can tell Wolverine is really the kind of guy who like bargains with himself. Like he's like narrowing it down to the exact second that he needs to get up.
Yeah, 12:07 is very.
7.
As someone who does that myself, I can totally agree with his logic. However, he gets up and says, I hate when I do that. So, like, how many clock radios has Wolverine destroyed, do you think, in the run of the span?
In 200 years or however old he is?
Is there just a pile of clock radios and VCRs that Jubilee has destroyed outside?
It definitely is.
Never thought to move them slightly out of the way. Like, just don't put it in arm's reach, Wolverine.
Well, then he can't smash it with his claws. So as he's waking up, and he gets a mental call from Professor X that he need the X-Men to get to the Blackbird right away. We see them all running in. Cyclops has his trusty coat in hand, which I love that this addition to his costume this season. He's always wearing that kind of, I don't know. I wonder what the reasoning was, is to try to make them, is it just to make him look cooler or more like a military thing? He's always wearing this brown jacket.
It's another thing like Professor X's green jumpsuit. Like Jim Lee would always put Cyclops in the jacket, at least around the mansion. Like you see him like at the monitors, he would have it on. So just some leftover Jim Lee thing, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I felt like the brown jackets as well. The 90s guys, they loved a brown jacket. Really.
They sure do. Then Wolverine comes in, has that line you played earlier about if he doesn't get his beauty sleep, or his 8 hours, he's grumpy all day. Which is great because he just woke up. His alarm went off. So it's not like Professor X woke him up early. He was already awake. The alarm woke him up. He had gotten the 8 hours.
Yeah, but he hits the sleep button a few times.
Oh, is that it? Okay. Well, that doesn't seem right. So anyway, Jubilee wants to come. Professor X says, no, you're going to stay here and get the infirmary ready, because apparently it's not ready already for some reason. We only get it ready when someone might need it, which seems like a horrible reason to have an infirmary hanging around if you need a precursor when someone's already hurt.
Also, we're kind of ominous. We're going on a mission. Get the infirmary ready.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing's happened to Iceman yet. Jesus Christ.
Beast definitely. Yeah, we're definitely gonna fuck up Iceman. What was that? Nothing. Let's just get that infirmary ready.
Let's get him.
So we get a little bit of information as to who Iceman is in relation to the X-Men, as Cyclops is getting upset that Professor X is making excuses for Drake like he used to, letting him slide.
What are we up against this Iceman?
We're not against him, Wolverine.
So then we're with him?
Of course not.
Do you ever Wolverine's retort?
We cleared that up.
Yeah, that's the best.
Good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
That's the best. We're glad we cleared that up.
Of course not.
You would think Jubilee would be like, what kind of cult have I joined up with? Like, I've been here for a couple of years. No one once has mentioned Iceman. Like, no one's reminisced. No one's been like, oh, remember when Bobby? Like, it's just you leave your persona non grata. You do not come up. You're cut off.
Well, it's like the episode in season 2, is it? When you see Storm has this whole life outside of, and they talk about it, the Shadow King with some of the X-Men trifled with before. Never came up before. Never once has it ever been mentioned. Like, he took us to the limit before, and it's like, who? What? Where's he? We don't know anything about him.
I do like that they're filling in a bit of the past and building it out.
Although you need someone to be like, who's that? But even Wolverine's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, well, he even says before my time or whatever when she asks if he knows him. So yeah, Cyclops seems particularly aggressive about Iceman in this episode. Like, he really thought he's a loose cannon, didn't play by the rules, and really doesn't like him, and is happy he isn't on the team essentially anymore.
Even gets in it with the Beast there.
Yeah,
I think that's where.
And you are being intransigent.
Beast has used a word that nobody understands.
I think that's where the themes get like confused, because like from Cyclops' point of view, Professor X wasn't over parenting him. He was like making excuses for him, which makes Cyclops come across like not like a brother, but like a disappointed dad. And
yeah, kind of.
Professor X like the mom who's like letting this little shitty kid get away with too much. So script could have been stronger, but
if anyone out there is curious what the word intransigent means, it means unwilling or refusing to change your views or agree to agree about something. So Beast is on track with his ridiculous dialogue.
Yeah.
Do you think it must be sad being Beast in this world where like everything you say is like far beyond everyone else, just because you have to appear intelligent and no one can relate to you?
That's a choice.
So he just chooses to be pretentious on a regular basis. You think this is
sometimes? I think so.
Maybe so.
You always made excuses for him.
Yeah. So Cyclops is upset that Professor X is constantly, man. So sometimes I read through some things to like reaffirm what the episode was about when I'm doing this. However, lately I found it easier just to play the episode and pause it at different parts so I know what part we're at. But every once in a while I'll pause on a screen where it just really reminisces how bad the animation is on this. And there's one right now, like Professor X looking over his shoulder behind the screen, and it's terrible. He looks like one of the marionettes from Thunderball. Or no, Thunderbirds,
yeah.
or Fireball XL5, one of those shows. Like, really bad. Like, remember the bald one? He kind of looks like that. So anyway, Beast kind of lets in that Bobby wasn't that bad of a person, and that, blah, blah, blah. He was kind of, the fun go-getter kind of thing, which Wolverine sort of likes, like that he was sort of the one that was giving Cyclops the business before he came along and started giving Cyclops the business. Which is funny, but then it's just a lot of stuff that relating to Bobby's place on the team in the past and how he was sort of left because of his attitude, essentially. But we learn more about that as we go along. So after all this sort of dialogue, we get more angry Cyclops. We cut back to them getting to the storage facility that we met earlier. Some alarmingly bad animation of Beast walking. Then we cut to Bobby. Yeah, so the security force at the storage depot are rather intense, to the point that Wolverine says, well, this is probably not just a normal storage depot, in which we catch Bobby running from some guards in a costume that I've never seen Iceman ever wear in any comic ever. Has he ever worn this costume in any comic ever? Or is this
No, because of this episode, I like really strongly associate it with him.
Really?
Yeah, like it's almost like when I close my eyes, it's like the default. I'm not in costume. I'm not in ice form Iceman.
It kind of looks like the one that the Bendis X-Men pulled from the wrong timeline.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Because they gave them all these kind of strange costumes to make them more like a different, like a real super team, and not like a color coordinated, like a various super team.
The all new X-Men.
Just after Onslaught, he had something really similar to this.
Oh, really?
It might break down the same way, but the colors are different.
Interesting. It's a very generic looking superhero costume. Like there's not a lot to it.
Oh
But
yeah,
big red belt.
that describes 99% of the things they put Iceman in because you never see them. He's always
That's fair.
ice form.
I mean, it makes it weird as to why he even has a costume to begin with. I guess in case he's just naked. He's like in his underwear when he gets knocked out in battle. His dong hanging out, like, oh shit, Iceman's out. Should throw some pants on him.
Beast, what's up besides you?
Yeah, like you're in the middle of running from guards, fighting for your life, and you're like,
Okay,
Beast, what's up?
He hasn't seen his old buddy in a while, though. That's fine.
He wears basically this exact costume, starting in Uncanny X-Men number 284. So that's what they were drawing from. He doesn't have the red belt.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, that makes sense.
Right. That's right before like the gold team and all that.
Yeah.
So he turns a corner. We see Beast hanging upside down from a light
two
pole.
episodes into that, or 2 issues into that.
Two of them sort of reconnect a little bit about what he's doing. Beast trying to find out what he's doing there. Bobby's being cagey about it. He doesn't want Beast to stop him. Shoots Beast with ice. Goes to
A touch
slide
of
away.
overkill there, Squinty.
I do love that. Yeah, man, you're way ahead of me with these. You haven't even got the
Am I?
Cyclops. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
So Iceman starts getting away, and then he gets tackled by Wolverine.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention about this warehouse was the bumbling guards from the beginning were lamenting that they don't even get to guard anything good. They're like, literally nothing ever happens here. So now you're like, how little attention were these guards paying to this place? Because like mutants train here on the regular. But...
Yeah, and this is like their home base to train. So like they're either too far away from the actual action to ever see any of that. They're probably like they just put them on the gate so that because they're the bumbling idiots. Or, I mean, that's my rationale, but it's probably inaccurate.
It was going to be one of my X points, but did you guys notice the animation slip during that scene when Wolverine tackles Iceman?
Yeah, he stays framed. No, it's not that one. It's a little after that.
Oh, is it a different
yeah,
tackle?
So he freezes Wolverine. Wolverine tackles him, tries to capture him. He freezes Wolverine, says sorry, whatever, goes to move on. But then as the Cyclops comes around the corner, shoots Bobby with his optic blast. And as he does
through Wolverine.
Yeah, Wolverine, like the scene changes, but Wolverine and ice is see-through and stays in the center of the frame while it shows it happen.
Yeah.
It's really strange looking. Took me a minute to realize what was going on. Then he blasts Wolverine under the ice. It's funny because no one ever seems cold when they're iced up by Bobby. They're just sort of frozen.
Shiver, they're too encased.
Yeah, like they're cold when he's around, but like, when you're encased in ice, you think that would do horrible things to your body. You think like those guards would be missing fingers at least or toes, right? Like
they are.
If they survive, like if your body temperature drops that low, you die. That's called hypothermia. That's what kills you.
He sets his ice on a timer. Like he is timer ice.
It's like Spider-Man's webs. They just disappear after, an hour and everybody's fine.
Well, you wouldn't want to be in that ice for an hour. I was thinking more like a couple minutes.
Well, I mean, ice does melt pretty fast, but not enough around it. Like not as much to encase a human body. It'd have to melt. If you hold a thing of ice, it'll melt in a few seconds. But
you guys are giving ice way too much credit. You haven't seen Batman and Robin.
I have.
Just need a hot bath and you're fine.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
that's true.
It's like in Star Wars. You just put you in a back to tank and you'll be all right after that. Doesn't matter what happens to you. They chuck you in a tank, you'll be fine. Yes, it is, Dan the Man. We haven't got there yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
So, that's when Wolverine says to Cyclops, he says a little rough on him there, weren't you, Squinty? Which I think is a really fun nickname for Cyclops. I wish to call him Squinty from now on. Great name. Ain't there, Squinty?
Captain Squinty.
So as after Cyclops hit Bobby, he was knocked out. Then Beast reappears, being chased by helicopters and various drones. They grab Bobby and they basically escape from the place, which is alarmingly interesting here because a bunch of guards are coming in, ready to and surrounding them, and then Professor X is like sitting in the Blackbird. And he's like, "I must do something." And he just pulls down like a Cerebro helmet, puts it on, and then just projects giant monsters. One being a brood and the other being what's the other kind of like that alien looks familiar, not the brood, but the other one.
Doesn't he just make him a bigger brood?
No, it kind of looks like brood. Maybe it is a brood, but it's got wings. It's different.
Yeah, broods have wings.
Well, the first one looks like the crawly brood. Maybe it's just the wingy brood. But anyway, he makes versions of the brood basically appear huge and scare off all the guards who just run away. Why doesn't he do this every time? Why do they even have the X-Men?
Because we've been over this. He likes to send children into dangerous
Into war.
situations.
Right. He grooms them from a young age to perform violent acts and sits back and sends them into highly unstable situations in the hopes that they will. Yes, Dan. Dan asked us if we're going to review the 97 episodes. We absolutely are.
You ever see that meme that gets passed around a lot? Like, it's not really a meme. It's just like a freeze-framed tweet. But it's like, just imagine like sending your mutant kid off to Professor X's school and thinking like, oh, finally he'll have a better life. And then you turn on the TV and Juggernaut's throwing him through the wall.
They're in a full costume, like with a different name. Like, I will stop you, Juggernaut, if I'm not Sizzle Hands. And then Juggernaut just grabs him by the fan and like, boom, just turns him into goo. Like, oh no. I don't. You think that's part of the package they give the parents? Be like, well, your child will become a child soldier and definitely be in danger on a regular basis. Even when they're just home working in the infirmary, they'll probably get drawn into some kind of cosmic chicanery that'll put them in the crosshairs of some maniacal madman or diabolical alien overlord or something.
But he really loves music. Those 10 years of piano lessons, all for nothing.
He's just like a really quiet, like introspective, like nice kid that just wants to play music. And he gets to the school and Xavier just like, he's like, oh yes, your violin. He just takes it and drops it in the trash can. He's like, here's your spandex costume. This is what you
we won't be needing this.
Yeah, here's your spandex costume. This is what you do now.
Have you ever been in a danger room?
He's like Mr. Radisson from the Christmas episode of Community. This is what you do now.
This is what you do now. This is who you are.
Oh, and as far as Dan the Man's question goes, in fact, Dan the Man, a friend of the show, Lenore Zan, said she would come back for our 97 review show.
She did. She said there's stuff in that episode she wants to talk about. So in that season, so that'll be fun. I'm still amazed she's recording that in Halifax.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, so
it's the future.
The future is now in the Trailer Park Boys studio. So there's your Trailer Park Boys X-Men.
Is she still Rogue, or is she playing somebody else?
No, she's Rogue.
Oh wow, okay.
She sounds the same. Her voice is
exactly the same.
Well, they recast like a few people, and not just people who cast. So.
Well,
really?
yeah.
Well, some of it was because of they're trying to be racially sensitive.
Yeah, like Allison Court isn't playing Jubilee anymore,
but she's playing someone else.
Somebody. I'm super curious on who she's playing.
I guess racial sensitivity doesn't extend to like just being Southern. So like we need a Southern person. Yeah, no man. So we cut back to Bobby, who has been brought back to the mansion. Professor X is back in his green outfit now, his suited outfit. Getting upset with Bobby, trying to ask him why he's trying to break into the facility. Bobby, of course, won't tell him. There's all this stuff about how Bobby and him never, how Professor X is always on his case about stuff and will never accept him for just being who he is or let him, There's some parallels with Jubilee as well, because that's how she feels. He's like
Jubilee's even like, what's the deal with those two? I've never seen Professor so mad.
Yeah, and Cyclops is getting him shit too all the time, saying he couldn't, straighten up and fly right, all that kind of stuff.
They do have
It's a surrogate father-son dynamic with unresolved issues of dominance.
Again, everyone just tunes out. No one ever listens to Beast. It's like, whatever, man. Like,
it's like, oh, thanks, Beast. I like the idea that you're just psychoanalyzing everything I say and do, or any relationship I have here in the X Mansion. That's great. You're filing this away for future cases. That's fantastic.
Actually, I think
I have an entire volume on it here. Let me get my leatherbound book.
I think Jubilee even answers him. Can you repeat that in English, please?
Which, I mean, it's fairly straightforward. You have to be pretty dumb to understand what he just said.
She's a dumb mall kid.
But that's you'll know this. That's Simpsons, where he asks him something and the guy gives him an answer. He's like, "Can you make that a little easier?" And then he says it again and he goes, "Can you dumb that down a little more?" And he just
dad shade.
He says it like 4 times to the point that it's just goofy.
I'm wondering the same thing, Dan the Man. How they go with Cyclops is very interesting to me as well.
I hope he's not to speak ill of the recently passed. because he's awesome at saying previously on X-Men, but I don't love him as Cyclops.
I beg to differ. When he says that, and then blasts the guy away. And that was with Angel, wasn't it? When he's like, "We beg to differ," and then he shoots him.
We beg to differ.
So yeah, then Bobby and Cyclops get in a bit of an argument. Bobby calls him an apple polisher because he's always basically a suck up to Professor X, is what he's saying. And anywho, they get broken up by Professor X, who's just trying to make
close to being like a sexual diss.
Kind of. They're so shredded in their costumes. Like, I've never seen Bobby look so jacked in anything I've ever seen him in.
It's like very barrel chested.
Just like shredded. Like, the voice for this guy is actually pretty interesting. It's not quite what I expected Bobby to sound like, but I do like it.
He slips in and out of like a New York accent or something. He sounds like Andrew Dice Clay. Like, there's like a few times when he's like, "Hey, Professor," but then that's gone.
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet.
Oh,
Since this is the 90s, you can assume that the live action version will be played by Joey Lawrence. I kind of got that vibe from him. Definitely Joey Lawrence. It's got to be Joey, the one from Blossom. The main Lawrence, not the lesser
big catchphrase again.
Not the lesser Lawrences.
Didn't he have like a one-word catchphrase?
Oh God, I cannot remember.
Whoa! It was whoa!
Whoa!
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Whoa! Do you remember when I lived with you? I went on that big crusade to try and find torrents of Blossom.
Yes, I do remember.
And all I could get was the
Now you can probably find it all easily.
Well, yeah, it's on Disney Plus, and it's just one of those things. Like, the more things become available, the less you care. It's just like there now.
It's about the thrill of the hunt, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I used to love the hunt.
Well, I've jokingly said this because in the modern world, you can just order anything you need off Amazon, so it's not quite as fun. But I've kind of filled that gap, and I've talked about it on this show before about how at the dollar store they sell graphic novels now. So now and you'll find some amazing ones for like $5.
Yep.
Like, they had the hardcover Mike Mignola's entire DC Comics run, all the stuff he did for $5. I bought it new for $50 when it came out like years ago.
Yeah, I got a bunch of
that stings a little.
And there's a ton. Well, even like they have a lot more DC than Marvel stuff, but like they'll have like Jeff Johns running Aquaman. So now like the thing to me is like to find the second or third volume in that I need, or like I really like Tom Taylor's run on Earth 2. So like finding the fill-in gaps for that before it got.
I found that too, and I haven't read it yet. I didn't know it was Tom Taylor.
He did the first Earth 2 series before they did like Earth 2 Society or something in those other.
Yeah, it's the first one. I believe so anyway.
Yeah, it's really good. It's fun, like just watching a building of a new superhero universe from the ground up, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so now it's just finding those holes in the series as I get from dollar stores. So going to various dollar stores and hoping they have that volume I need, which is kind of fun. It's filling that gap for me. So anyway. Bobby wants to
get into that more myself, the old dollar store.
I've been getting around. I haven't got a lot within Halifax, so I've done like Bedford, Elmsdale, Truro a lot, obviously, and other stuff. But anyway, Bobby goes to leave, and then
we missed over like my favorite part of that scene, though.
Oh, what's that?
Words.
You just seeing Cyclops getting into it with somebody else. He's just
but why is Wolverine so defensive of Cyclops?
Yeah, he just keeps switching in this episode. Like, 1 second he's like, "Oh, I like this Iceman character," and then he's like, "Oh, fuck you."
Like, nobody makes fun of Cyclops for me. You're not making fun of my boy Cyclops, are you? It's not like I wanted to kill him because he was marrying Jean Grey a season ago. just slicing him up in the danger room over and over again on his wedding day. Yeah. But now that he's dead, we got. Oh man,
with several different forms.
I'm gonna print screen.
Don't push me, Drake. I push back.
Anytime, apple polisher. I'm right here.
I'm right here.
I'm right here.
I like that. There's that's the scene where they're all like, and they're all like, their muscles are all like pumped up when they're doing that too, and it looks so much they're gonna get into a fight. You're right about this being oddly homoerotic in this. So Davan, if I send you a picture, can you put it up quickly, or do you have to program it in? Is it a whole thing?
It won't take me very long.
Because I want to show you. I just want to I just froze on this one scene, and I think this can show how the animation on certain angles is very strange on this episode. I'm just going to export this right now, and then we'll send it to you. Because it's
keep talking while I do
alarming. Oh yeah, 100%. So Anyway, so then Bobby goes to leave, and as he's leaving, he gets sucked up into a weird portal that just happens to be conveniently placed in the center of the floor of the room he was in, which is a gravity trap, apparently, that Beast, when they ask what that is, Beast says he had mined it from the shared technology to use for healing. How you can use for healing, I don't really know. But and then it's sort of seemingly slightly upset that it's being used for another purpose.
There's a few things in this episode that like feel like they could have been threads that could have been explored down the line.
Yeah, they never are.
And Beast's like sudden like almost mistrust of Professor X there. Like, well, that was supposed to be like our foot massager, but now apparently it's a torture device. Like, yeah, his like, what the fuck? Why did you do this?
Yeah, and I agree. I would have liked to see more of that.
Yeah. But I just know from having watched the show so many times that, you know,
hasn't Beast essentially become a villain now in Marvel Comics?
He's
Dark Beast is.
Yeah, but regular Beast is a heel. Like if you read, like he's very like the ends justify the means.
He's almost like a Spider-Man villain now, where he's just like all in the pursuit of science, and the rest doesn't really matter.
Even compared to like Magneto or Exodus or some of the other, you know, actually like formerly terrorist mutants on Krakoa, like Beast is like, no, I mean, I'll mind control this whole island of people to get the job done or whatever.
All right, so he's trapped in this little portal while he's basically given time to cool off. The rest of the X-Men, look at this, look at Beast. And look at Jubilee. She looks like Elaine Bennett from Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, she really does.
Wow. Good grab.
Yeah.
They could have modeled her after Elaine in the 90s.
Her sunglasses go like 4 inches off the side of her face, too.
Oh yeah.
Wraparound shades or something.
Yeah, they kind of are that. And also they sort of changed the costume slightly. You notice
I always thought they were Bret Hart shades.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Yeah, they kind of are. Yeah, completely. That's exactly how I like imagined them when I was a kid.
You notice her pink shirt now has a yellow stripe down the side, which I acknowledged when it first appeared, with an X on it, as you see now in the episode. But even that's pretty rough. Look at Iceman looks like an Asian man, and Jubilee looks, I don't know what's going on with their eyes. My God. But anyway, Beast's upset by his thing being the trap. They're going to leave Iceman in there until he's ready to tell them what he needs to get from this storage facility that seems so important.
A gravity suspension device I recently constructed.
Yes, from Shimshir Technology.
Shimshir Technology.
Shimshir. Yes, the Shimshir Galaxy. So then Jubilee looks up some files on Bobby Drake to learn more about him, and then sees some footage of the old X-Men with the yellow and blue costumes. We see the pre-Beast. In which, I was literally just looking at that thing. I love how when all the X-Men come in to show off their powers, Beast does like this little acrobatic thing. Cyclops just sort of does a salute,
crosses his arms, and looks grumpy. That's what he does.
Yeah, but then when he walks out, he does this weird little salute, and then Jean Grey just sort of comes out and does a curtsy, and then like flies off, which she couldn't fly before. But then we see I thought when we met Magneto on the series,
yes, that
was the first we met Magneto.
Yeah, the other X-Men had never heard of him.
Yeah, so in this flashback sequence where she's watching clips of their old adventure, she sees Bobby Drake fighting Magneto in a version of his costume that seems a little.
Maybe it was just Iceman who fought Magneto.
It could have been very strange though that none of the other.
He didn't talk about it when he got back.
And they had camera footage of it.
Yes, but they had camera footage.
But he didn't talk about the camera footage either.
It's a deep well we're going down. Jubilee, makes a comment about how cute he is just as Wolverine walks in and notices her saying that. It's kind of interesting on the screen when they're talking. You see the X-Men in like a more rudimentary version of their sort of learning hall where they're sitting at tables in the background in their costumes, and Professor X is not in a yellow wheelchair. He's in a normal wheelchair. So at least it's kind of like some acknowledgement of the way it used to be before. But we see like in the footage, Bobby, being cavalier as he always is, like making a little, instead of listening to the professor, he's making a little ice sculpture of the professor in his wheelchair. And it shows him like doing this to a villain, like putting his, for those of you in the audio version, putting your thumbs to your ears and sticking your tongue out and doing that sort of thing. So Wolverine comes in, watches Jubilee.
Pretty packages. What's
Yeah.
inside is usually trouble.
Which is funny because Wolverine's whole thing with Jean Grey is how attractive he is to her and how pretty she is. You know, that reasoning doesn't apply when
but she has red hair, so those rules don't apply to her.
Yes, of course. So Jubilee, then we cut back to Bobby, who's stuck in his little gravity machine. Beast comes in to visit, bringing some food, kind of pleads with them to find reason, tell the professor what he wants or what he's looking for, why he needs to get into this place. Bobby essentially reveals his backstory, which it doesn't seem like, why is he keeping this a secret? You know, it seems like most of the story is what the rest of them know already. But anyway, he explains why he left the X-Men was because he was with, Beast asks Bobby what happened to Lorna. Yeah. And Jubilee overhears this from around the corner because she's listening, as she always does from around the corner. Bobby,
that happens all the time in this show.
There's one jarringly strange thing about this story, which I'll address when we get to it later. But basically, Bobby had enough of Professor X and all of his overly parenting him, basically. He storms off. Lorna leaves with him because they're kind of an item at this point. Lorna, of course, being Polaris, for those of you paying attention to the universe. I don't know if she is Magneto's daughter in this universe or not. Or is she in the regular universe anymore? That's changed a lot of times, isn't it? She is?
She is.
But Scarlet Witch is not, right?
Yeah. She's his only biological daughter. But Magneto's recently confirmed that he still considers Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch to be his children, but they're not.
Where do they come from?
I don't know. I basically just read X-Men, so if something happens in Avengers, I have no clue.
Oh. So where's Quicksilver from then? Anyway. So Lorna runs off.
Wundagore. High Evolutionary probably just built them on Wundagore.
Yeah, I think actually that might have been, I think for her, that's where hers came from. I don't know about Quicksilver's. So anyway, and what I found incredibly hilarious was we cut to Bobby leaving, and he's in a brown suit, and then Lorna runs off with him, and then we cut to he just gets a normal job. He's a public accountant.
Yeah, this is a really weird interpretation of Iceman. This whole he's
that's right out of the comics, actually. The
no, the rebel without a cause thing is the bizarre thing, and it doesn't marry with the I'm sick of these rules, sitting at this desk, learning all this
I just
stuff.
want to be an accountant. Yeah, that's a good point.
Why can't you let me live my dream, Professor X, of being an accountant?
It's like Hermie the elf from Rudolph. He's I'm not building these toys. I just want to be a dentist, man.
It's just not about that superhero life. Anything else would be good enough, I guess. And he was in love, young love.
Yeah, well, look how that worked out for him. So
look how your young
learned
love
a hard lesson we all learned eventually. So he's just being an accountant. I love how Lorna opens the door to see him, and he's just I love on shows when they depict jobs that when you hear of a certain type of job, you just have an assumption about what that job is. So when Lorna goes to visit him at work, she opens the door to his office, and he's just tapping away on a calculator. That's all you do when you're an accountant. My wife's an accountant, so it's just all you do is just tap on keyboard. That's it, apparently. Calculators. That's it.
Gets the job done.
So Lorna comes to get him. She opens the door to his office, throws him a bouquet of flowers, and then closes the door behind them, which subtly looks like they're about to have sex, which I really liked. I thought it's let's throw a little bit of spiciness in there. And then it shows them on a fun amusement park. It shows them in inexplicably bright clothing, wearing really high roller skates.
I would have come.
A type of roller skates I've never seen before. Do you notice how high those roller skates are? They're like wrestling boots. They go up to just below the knees. I've never seen roller skates that high. So anyway, they're on the beach roller skating, which is funny because don't they say they're in Seattle is where they went to for him to be an accountant? I'm pretty sure they mentioned that. Which I don't know. How many beaches are there in Seattle?
So, yeah,
probably a bunch.
That looks like Florida.
In this flashback sequence, it's not actually the case, but things go by so fast that when he's on the amusement park ride, and then when they're making out on the beach or whatever, they're in the exact same spot on the screen, and they're in both times they're embraced. So I just thought they're just gonna keep changing the background of where they were when they were on the beach.
just bang it on the beach, bang it in the amusement park, bang it in the park. It just shows various. So anyway, then we see when the mutant crisis hit, basically when Gygric and Professor X are going against each other. I should save this scene because it's actually pretty cool from one of my points later. I'm going to print screen this.
Also, are they roller skating on the sand, or is the beach paved?
I believe it's a sidewalk along the beach. It's just the way it's depicted.
Okay, so that's supposed to be like an edge and a drop or something.
Yeah, but it's kind of
there's,
colored the same because there's a guy in a bike goes by at the same time. So I assume that's the reasoning for that.
Okay, so you know what? They color the sand white, which looks like the shore, basically. Like it looks like the water crashing on the shore, but that's meant to be sand.
I'm surprised you guys haven't heard of the paved beaches of Seattle.
Yes, the great paved beaches of Seattle.
Paved beach.
The beautiful paved beach. There's no sand; it's just paved concrete into the ocean. That's all you get.
You see that palm tree mural over there?
No wonder Nirvana was so sad. They just had paved beaches. So anyway,
a lot.
When the mutant crisis hit, when Gygric back from season 1 with the Mutant Registration Act and all that sort of stuff, Lorna wanted Bobby to do something. They wanted to go back and get involved. Bobby's happy being just an accountant, apparently. He doesn't want to go back to superhero life. They have a fight. He goes off to work, comes back with flowers, opens the door to her apartment, I guess. He does say later it was her apartment, meaning they didn't live together, which I find odd that they ran off together. But then the house is all destroyed. There's stuff everywhere. He finds a note, which makes no sense. I'll come to this later, that says Kirby Glenn on it in the destruction. And then gets a nod as to where she could be.
So stupid.
So then he decides he has to go rescue her from this. He finds out Kirby Glenn is this government facility, thinks the government took her, and he's trying to go rescue her back. B says, Professor X will help you. Just tell him what your issue is. He'll help you. And he still can't because for some reason he's just being like if you told us
transient.
Yeah, transigent. But it's so stupid because, like, if you explain that story to anybody, they'd be like, "Of course we'll help you." But he's like, "No, I can't."
Like Professor X finds him breaking into a government facility, and he's like, "I can't abide this." Like, do you not remember the first episode of this show?
Yeah. That's like the third time that's come up, actually, because didn't Gambit say we're not the kind of people that break into government facilities or something like that?
We did it several times.
Yeah.
Several times. So anyway, Beast, then after Beast leaves him saying, like, well, until you can come to your senses, we're going to have to leave you here, basically. Beast remembers he forgot to leave a book for him. I don't know what the book was, but I'm going to assume it was The Iceman Cometh or something that is equally as something that related to, like, how smart Beast is. It always seems somewhat related to something.
If not for you, the Iceman would have come.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's the name of Polaris and Iceman's porno. Were Polaris and Iceman ever together in the comics?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is
one
on
of his many very short-lived girlfriends.
She was like the 6th X-Men in the comics, like after Mimic. No, 7th, I guess. It would be like the main 5 and then Mimic and then her, I think.
So after Beast leaves, we see the portal holding him, deactivate him, fall down, and then Beast realizes he forgot to bring the book back to him, goes back in and sees he's gone. Then we cut to we cut to after the commercial break. Jubilee is with Iceman. She's the one who let him go because she overheard his sad story and wants to help him. So the two of them go back to the Kirby Glen facility, which you think would be on high alert now that mutants broke in literally a day ago. But it just seems like it's gone back to normal. There's no excessive security or
what are the chances mutants are going to break in 2 nights in a row?
Especially if they didn't get what they wanted the first time. Why would they come back? I mean, what possible reason? So anyway, Iceman freezes the fence. They break in. As they're breaking in, basically, we cut to the X-Men realizing in a jet on their way there because Beast had told them that she's gone. Cyclops thinks that Jubilee was taken by Iceman. He's like, why would she take Jubilee? And Wolverine posits that she probably released him because, she sweet on him or that she, whatever. Professor X kind of agrees and also has a moment of clarity thinking that he probably was too hard on Bobby and he should have been more of a friend and less of a authority figure.
I fell back into my old role as Bobby's disapproving headmaster. I should have found a new role as his friend.
I
love those Professor X-isms. He's deep. It's real deep in these episodes.
He's really learning about all, admitting failure is important. So they get to the place. They They break in as well. They follow the hole basically that Bobby had made, passing by another camera as they're walking into the facility. Then we cut to who's watching from that camera, who is a young version of Forge. And by that, I mean a current timeline version of Forge, who's paying attention to what's going on. Basically, once I did skip a part before the X-Men got there, Bobby and Jubilee are hit with an energy beam from another group of mutants, who we'll get to know very quickly. But the mutant that attacked them was Havoc, for those keeping score. We cut to Bobby and Jubilee tied up in the inside of a warehouse, which is even dumber. There's a dumb bit here. There's a box that just says the Mutant Project, which is like if you have a secret government facility where mutants are housed, you would just put the Mutant Project on the boxes being delivered there.
It's like the Donald Trump method of organizing files.
That's right. Oh, we got another little munchkin here.
Oh, this is a podcast. Yeah.
She's like, is this what you waste all your time with, Father?
Yeah. Why aren't you sleeping? Oh.
You should really try to be a friend to her rather than a father, you know.
Yes.
Oh.
You need to find a new way, sir.
Would you like some popcorn and candy? I don't know. I'll be a friend.
It's 9 o'clock at night, Davan.
I'm trying to be a friend, not a father.
Well,
okay.
If you don't give friends candy, I mean, you can, I guess. That is.
Would you like some candy?
Probably. I assume I would like some candy.
Not you. You don't even know what candy is.
So they're tied up. Jubilee has these metal things over her fist, so she can't use her powers to escape. However, for some reason, Bobby does not have any kind of similar device put over him, and he just ices up and immediately gets out of the chair. So I'm not sure why they. Actually, kind of makes sense, I guess, and a little bit now that I'm thinking about it, because she says they must know, or have been studying us because they knew to put metal over her hand so she couldn't use her powers to escape. And then he says, well, they must not have read the chapter on me, and then ices up and breaks free immediately. But if
I don't want to ruin where this episode goes, but that doesn't make any sense at all.
Not really. But if he had left the team before the team was being studied by the other team we're about to meet, that would somewhat make sense a little bit, but not really.
Actually, I don't want to say like what happens.
Okay, so as they go to escape, basically, they're just about to go through a door, which is hilarious because like there's like an exit right in front of them, and Iceman's like about to freeze the door so they can escape, and then Wolverine busts through it and just tackles them right down. He's like, "I'll get us out of here," and he's just about to use his powers. Then Wolverine just busts through the door like a javelin and takes them right down. They get in a big fight in the floor, basically.
Go on. Take your best shot. It's your face, pal.
Oh wait, that was later. Whoops.
I think that's the theme with us, Davan, is you constantly playing clips that are far from the point I'm making.
Well, I'm trying to be timely. I don't want to be behind.
Well, I think we're on par here.
Actually, the main culprit is my like labeling of these sound effects, and like I read them, I'm like, what's that?
Well, Cyclops and Beast come in. They get mad at Jubilee for helping Bobby. Jubilee tells them that, he had a good point and they should have helped him. Basically, Professor X acknowledges that there's something else going on there and they need to be on guard. Then they're attacked by another group of mutants who who are standing rather vigilantly atop a large pile of boxes. The team, of course, we would recognize almost immediately, if you know anything about comics, as the 1990s version of the X-Force. I guess the original version of the X-Force.
X-Factor.
Or X-Factor, sorry. Yeah, no, 100%. X-Factor. X-Force is Cable's team. X-Factor. So we see Quicksilver, we see Multiple Man, we see Wolfsbane, who is already wolfed up, which is interesting that she wolfed down and then wolfed up again for dramatic effect later. Then Havoc and Strong Guy. So
these guys.
Yeah, that's cool. So Havoc shoots beams down at them. The X-Men jump out of the way. They get in a bit of a fight. Actually, the animation of this scene is pretty cool. Some of the mutant powers being used. Quicksilver comes in. Jubilee uses her powers to stop him. Basically, to try to blind him for briefly. They try to escape, but they're still attacked by the X-Force. They basically pair off with different members of the X-Force to fight, and are kind of losing to them until Jubilee at one point, while being stuck in a portal or something. Not a portal, but like who's she stuck with?
It's like a vortex that.
Yeah, but who did that? Was it something?
Quicksilver.
Oh yeah,
Quicksilver's running
Quicksilver's
around.
running under her.
Your boy. Your favorite
My boy,
Avenger.
my favorite Avenger.
For real?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
That's so strange. Yeah.
Why is that strange?
That's what I
To each
said.
his own. To each his own. I knew a guy who
Yeah.
Iceman was his favorite superhero. So I mean,
Who's my favorite superhero?
I knew a guy who Iceman was his favorite superhero.
Really? Yeah, that's true. You do
A lot
run
of people
into-
like Iceman. He's a cool character.
I mean, Spider-Man's my favorite superhero and always will be, but I've always liked Quicksilver. Like I've always liked Namor for the same reason. I've always liked arrogant prick heroes. I don't know why. I'm very excited for the new Black Panther movie because Namor's in it, so that's fun. But yeah, so then they basically pair off with their various counterparts in the other team. Havoc and Cyclops get in a fight, and then they realize that their powers don't work on each other for some reason, which is alarmingly stupid because it's never fucking addressed again on this show.
Really?
They never address that they're brothers ever on the show.
Huh. I thought, well, that's another knock against this episode because I thought there is an episode where Corsair comes back, and I thought that Havoc was in that one, but if he's
I thought so too.
According to what I read, it says it's never addressed that they're brothers, and this is the only time that they kind of allude to it because their powers don't work on each other.
But that scene where they're like walking in a circle around each other looks kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, especially because Havoc's got like this really like this mane of hair, and he's got that like that '90s like framed face thing that like Gambit has in his costume.
Yep.
Cyclops is just,
Multiple Man's got one.
Cyclops is just in a mood to fight in this episode because
he really is.
He's like, nice uniform. And
yeah, like his is that much better. Like
Havoc says nothing, and then Cyclops goes, "I don't like your attitude." He said nothing. He did nothing.
He didn't say a goddamn word. So, while Jubilee's fighting Quicksilver and kind of stuck in a vortex of him running underneath.
What a mismatch!
Yeah, she shoots a beam and hurts somebody else who's in a fight on the other side.
She takes him out though, actually.
Yeah,
so
she does.
Never
so
mind.
Professor X realizes that Jubilee is on the right idea. Wolverine pairs up with Multiple Man, who's overwhelming him with his numbers. But then he says, "Well, switch. It's obvious this team has been studying us and knows our powers. So switch." Which is kind of funny. Like if you made a super team to fight another super team, would you only say, "Okay, you Havoc, only study Cyclops. Don't study anybody else. Just study Cyclops and only take down Cyclops." Because
but you might have a plan going in. That'd be about the only thing.
That's fair, but you always gotta have a plan B.
Oh yeah, plan B.
Yeah.
So because of that, basically, it Jubilee manages to attack Havoc from her bubble. When he's distracted, Cyclops shoots the boxes that fall on him because he can't hurt him with his own beams. Professor X sort of tells everyone this is the right way. Swap out who your opponents are, and you'll beat them. And they quickly beat them after they swap out, which is funny. But yeah, there's various fighting going on here. Wolverine swaps out and beats up Strong Guy with the help of Iceman, and so he's looking for Lorna. Forge appears with Lorna, and we discover that Lorna actually is a willing participant and member of the X Factor team. Forge has formed this team with the aid of the government to work towards helping mutant relations for all mutants, including the X-Men.
I am Forge. That is Havoc, Multiple Man, Strong Guy, Quicksilver, Wolf's Bane.
Give us a break. You guys took all the good names.
Yeah. And it's funny too because he's I don't know, like I know I've kind of made fun of this before when Forge was on the show, but like they sort of lean sometimes pretty hard into like the indigenousness of his voice, which I find funny. Like sometimes it sounds very thick and sometimes not quite so much.
Sometimes he is Puyeta.
Sometimes he sounds like the Lakota spokesman. So he introduced the team. Polaris runs to the aid of Havoc, who is still unconscious from his battle with Cyclops. Bobby sees this and looks sad. We quickly learn that Forge has formed this team called X Factor with the government to help mutant relations, including the X-Men. They have studied the X-Men, and they used the X-Men attacked their facility, so they were sort of just responding the first time, but also thought it'd be a good exercise for their powers to battle with the X-Men.
It's another thread that just
I
never
thought
gets
a
picked
friendly
up.
little skirmish with the X-Men might teach us a few points.
It's not that friendly when one side doesn't know it's friendly.
Right here.
And what a dangerous way to
That'd be like if I
your
just like
training
if
exercise.
Dave's like walking on the street and I tackled him and just started fighting him. If Dave defended himself, and after we were both kind of bloody, Dave's like, "Why'd you attack me?" And I'm like, "Oh, I thought it'd be funny to have a fun little skirmish."
But we were
Like,
friends.
Dave's like, "You should have let me in on it."
I don't know if this was like a backdoor pilot or what. Like if they
It would have been cool if it was.
Characters would have caught on, but one of the threads that just doesn't get picked up anywhere is he's like, "Oh yeah, the government is funding this team," and Professor X is like, "I work with the government on mutant relations, and I haven't heard anything about this." So you would think clearly like Forge isn't really in the know, but like why are they going behind Professor X's back to have this alternate team and never gets picked up? And nobody does anything with it.
Look, Forge, I regularly read the minds of everyone in that department. How do I not know this?
Regularly. You should see what the guy in Cubicle B is looking up on the internet. Oh my god. That guy's
1992 internet. It's slow.
He's hanging out in hotel chat. You should see him. My god. The things he's LARPing about online. So anyway, yeah, we get very little of X Factor. We only really talk to Forge. That's about it. We barely hear any of them speak.
Yeah. Multiple Man has that one quip, but that's about it.
Like Quicksilver doesn't say anything, Strong Guy doesn't say anything, Wolfbane doesn't say anything.
No.
So yeah, basically that's sort of it. They're working here, training. Had a little skirmish with the X-Men. Polaris tells Bobby that this is the thing that fucking kills me. So Bobby's like, "What happened? Why are you here?" And she's like, "I realized that you wouldn't go back to the superhero life, and I want to join up. So X Factor, Forge recruited me to join X Factor, and as I knew you wouldn't agree, we made it look like I was kidnapped to give you closure. Like if you're like, you know what I mean? He's like, we knew you wouldn't agree, so I faked my own disappearance. And it's like, of course, that's just going to make him search for you. Like you fake your
give him an
death,
obsession
obviously.
instead.
Yeah, she left clues.
I'm using
And
my
you left
powers to help people who need me. You've lost touch with that, Bobby. And when you did, I lost touch with what I loved about you.
And then with you entirely, as I pretended to be.
She's with Havoc now.
Basically,
Basically,
gonna be like a real wake up call for Bobby, like how little she must have thought of him, to be like, well, he'd be a big bitch if I like just broke up with him. But if he thinks that I've been, horribly kidnapped and I'm off somewhere being tortured, he'll let that go.
He's like, that's too much work. That's too much work. I'm not doing that. So
like a mutant rights project to me.
Well, even you think there'd be some. You think this would also, like, from a storyline standpoint, you think this would be the Bobby realizing that perhaps he is too cavalier about this thing and maybe changing his ways, which he doesn't, because at the end of the episode, they're like, "Come back and join the team, help make a difference again." He's like, "Nah, that's not for me anymore," and he just like fucking ice surfs into the sunset. And they just tee up a perfect little character growth for him, which he doesn't take at all. And then of course Jubilee watched him disappear crying again. This is the second episode in a row that ends with Jubilee crying, by the way. It's like to point out. So Cyclops and Havoc have one last little face down before the teams depart, which is funny. Like we'll meet again, basically, kind of thing, which I don't know if they do. But yeah, so that's kind of the end of the episode. Bobby goes off to.
You're okay. I'm counting on you to keep this big shot on his toes after I'm gone.
Think we'll see him again?
I can only hope.
And that's it. End of episode. All right, Dave, do your point first because I got to go for a second and right back.
Oh yeah. Well, I got a theme music for that, and that takes some time. So there's also that. When I can find them. There it is.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Oops, not that one. Here we go.
Oh,
Ratings from 1 to X. Here we go. So yeah, Dave, why don't you go first? What do you give this one from 1 to X?
Oh God, why do I have to go first?
Okay, I can go first.
All right, yeah, listen to what you have to say so I can all right temper what I have to say.
So I liked it more than you got in Andre, I'll tell you that much. I'm gonna give this one, I found this one very entertaining. I'm gonna give it a 9 because I'm gonna dock it. I was almost gonna give it a 10. I was enjoying it so much. I get and I docked it a point because of like the plot holes in that.
Oh my lord!
But it was fun to see X Factor. It was fun to see Bobby, and I thought they got him pretty well. Like I think that's pretty much a younger Bobby kind of character. Pretty well. It's nice to see Polaris, like X Factor. Wolverine was hilarious the whole episode. I like seeing sort of aggro Cyclops. He was just like super angry and aggressive this whole episode. I found that hilarious. I get its flaws, but I loved it regardless.
What did you rate it?
A 9.
A 9? That's
Man.
ridiculous. You're insane. You're an insane man.
But it was so entertaining this episode. It was so entertaining.
Oh, I had trouble getting through it, and I watched it twice. Both times I was like, well, the second time I was really like, okay, what is the point? What am I doing here?
Dave, I appreciate your reaction because last episode, did you catch your last episode?
No, I completely forgot.
I said how you were always I said if anything ever happened to me, I said I was going to leave a note that says that you have to replace me in the show. And now I'm telling you in person that if I ever die, my dying wish is you replace me on this show. And if not, I will haunt you.
All right, what did you guys give it then?
I'm going to let Dave go first because I'm curious.
Okay, what is the lowest score you've ever given?
Probably a 5. I think we hit a 5.
5. No, I think I gave a 4 to one time.
That lines up with what I'm going to say because I give this episode a 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it makes not like a lick of sense.
I mean, it's alarming about how she faked her own kidnapping just to give Bobby closure in their relationship and then left a note to tell him where she was going to be. Like, what the fuck's the point of that?
The themes get confused, even though, let's switch up opponents. That's the strategy, when you're talking about, it's very tropey. We have to switch up who we're fighting. That's when you're fighting a bunch of doppelgangers.
Yes.
And, Wolverine is fighting another Wolverine. And the only one who was up against someone who was just like himself was Cyclops.
Yeah.
Strong Guy's power set is better against Wolverine than it is against Iceman, but they had to switch who they were Wolverine had to he gets beaten by dropping something on him. That's not how you beat Strong Guy. That makes no sense.
What makes Wolverine or Wolfsbane and Beast the same? Just that they're both bestial or they're hairy,
They're furry people.
I guess they're furry people with claws and kind of animals, but it's just why pair off with the person that is the most like you?
Oh, and the other thing I liked about this episode a lot is because they really did mirror the parenting theme. He was totally doing it to Jubilee.
But he learned nothing at the end. He didn't.
Yes, he did. He said that great speech. I should have been his friend.
Oh, Professor X did, but I meant Bobby learned nothing in the end.
No, Bobby doesn't learn anything.
Bobby learned
He's a hothead.
He's just sad that his girlfriend left him for someone else that, it's you changed, man. I'm going to go with this guy now. And
maybe Professor X told Bobby that he got rid of the whole school aspect of the school. He would have stuck around. Because Jubilee never has to sit in the classroom at a desk or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. She doesn't really do that.
She goes to the jet simulator.
But isn't that kind of like what it's like though? Say you dated someone way back in high school, and then whatever reason you broke up, or for whatever reason you guys aren't together anymore. You see them later down the line, and their life's way more together, and you're like, well, why couldn't you have been this before? That's what it's like. Why couldn't you have grown? Why couldn't you have done all these things before? Maybe that's what Bobby's feeling. He's like, look, you've become better, and now your people are, But I do like that. Jubilee's his stand-in. He's like, you're the new troublemaker now. Go off and cause trouble for everybody, which I think is kind of
So you're thinking about 7, 8?
Me? No, I'm giving it a 5.
Oh no.
Because I liked seeing X Factor.
Well, then he's never coming on the show now.
I like the only episode that he wrote.
Yeah. He wrote Nightcrawler as well.
Oh, another episode I'm not super keen on.
But... There are things in this episode I like. It's just the X Factor stuff is kind of cool. Forge stuff's kind of cool. It's cool seeing Bobby Drake. All that stuff's cool. It's just not executed very well. And I don't blame the writers because it's not just. There are a lot of things that take place when doing a show, and I've said this before.
The dialogue's on point in this episode.
Yeah,
right?
But it's not just the writer. There's usually other people involved. If it was just here's my finished product, go make it. But then usually there's stuff with animation. There's all kinds of things that would change. It's such a collaborative effort in these shows. That whatever his finished thing is core idea was, and he's even said in this when he was talking to you, that. Oh no, sorry, not this guy. The other guy
That was
the
Brooks
guy did the Mojo
Martel.
episode that they changed it so much that like it's barely what he had written. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not a unique case when it comes to this stuff.
No, probably not.
I'm sure other people like, and even the guy that wrote in this episode, whose name escapes me at the moment, probably similar thing, right?
One thing is clear:
we beg to differ.
Yeah, I like X Factor. I like all that stuff. But...
Oh, are you still going? Continue.
No, that's it.
All right.
I don't want to continue anymore. You cut me off like I'm at the Oscars giving a speech to him. Wrap it up.
Well, we're running long, but that's fine. We're doing good here.
All we do is run long. That's like our whole thing. Do we even have a preset end time to the show? Because we never.
No.
If we do, we've never reached it. And if it is, it's 2 hours past when we started.
Yeah, we did. We definitely hit 2 hours with that Storm episode for some reason.
Because you love Storm.
I love Storm. She's the best.
Even in episodes that
that's my first X point, actually. Storm, just the best.
She hasn't been around that much this season.
No, it's been kind of disappointing.
She's the only absent X-Man who gets an explanation in this episode.
That's true.
They say she's
in Africa.
Yeah, which is better than like the 5 episodes that start the season where they just keep saying Rogue's still on that mission, secret mission.
No mission,
which never occurs.
Yeah, I don't know if like Jubilee and Beast and Cyclops' voice actors like cost less or something, but they like appear constantly in the latter half of the show, whereas Gambit, Rogue, and even to an extent Storm, definitely Jean, almost vanish. It's very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, you get Wolverine. Wolverine's always around. He's so popular, but like everybody hated Cyclops in the 90s. And see, this episode is a large part of why people hate Cyclops, I think. Well, it's
a good example of why.
This show in general is why people hate Cyclops. But this episode is really, he's hard to take. Like, I had to keep reminding myself, like, he's your favorite X-Man. What are you doing? Who are you?
Well, it's a parallel universe version of him, I guess, you know.
All right, well, my first X point. Sure, why not? Jubilee the jailbreaker. You can't leave Jubilee around anyone.
It's like the third time she's let somebody out, hasn't she?
Yeah, Sabretooth.
Who immediately tried to kill her. Thinks she learned something, but has not.
Has not. Jubilee can't be trusted. That's my X point.
Mine
just with technology or prisoners, quite frankly.
Mine is when you see the flashback where Bobby's explaining everything about his, what has happened basically with to lead up to this point with Lorna. When the mutant thing happens between Gygric and the X-Men from the first season of the show, it shows Lorna holding up an issue of the Daily Bugle, which says Mutant Crisis on it in big words. It's the Sunday, September 8th edition. It shows got Henry P. Gygric on one side, Professor Charles Xavier on the other. And it's an editorial by J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson.
It says right at the top, J. Jonah Jameson. And I want to read you what it says because I think it says, we at the Bugle have only one goal in mind, the truth. We are now and will always be committed to telling the truth, no matter what path the search takes us. Professor Charles Xavier at yesterday's press conference says that mutants are no more than humans with extraordinary powers, not the next evolutionary step that will replace normal, and then it cuts off. So it doesn't seem like the kind of writing J. Jonah Jameson would write, but I do appreciate them keeping it on brand.
He hasn't seen them wearing their masks, obviously.
And also, it's a pretty hefty edition good for the Sunday paper.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dave, you got an X point for us?
Yeah, I got one. Just one. Just one that comes to mind. Iceman's line when Lorna finally really breaks up with him is pretty badass. It's like the kind of thing you want to say when you get dumped, because she's like, I'm so sorry, Bobby. And he's like, yeah, you'll get over it.
Yeah, it's hard to be that cool when your heart's breaking.
Easy to be that cool when you're Iceman.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Whoa.
You think Bobby was just a big fan of Top Gun and that's where this came from? Or do you think they just...
What my next X point is those metal mittens that they had on her to, possess her. Is that going to be your next one?
No, it's just another plot hole.
Oh, to suppress her powers. They look
But they-
exactly like the ones in the Captain Marvel movie that they used to suppress her powers.
But earlier in that episode, Iceman attacks them, and at no point do they like tie him up or do anything to make him not be able to escape. Like
Also,
they just put him in a chair.
The big plot hole is that his girlfriend is on the team. And
Yes.
he doesn't know anything.
Oh
about
yes,
him.
of course. Fucking, I didn't even think of that. Yes, you're right.
That means they left clues for him to find the place if he decided that he cared about life at all. And they weren't ready for him at all. It's this episode not great.
Tell us more, Dave.
I like that he wanted to come on an episode that he didn't like very much.
Well, no, I thought I did.
I know you
it's
did.
got all
That's
the
funny.
characters. So, I didn't remember that half the actual X-Men were missing, but I certainly remember that the X Factor were there.
All right, back to you, Andre.
So yes, I had a point here. Yes, the actor that did the voice of Iceman. His name is Jesse Collins. Most notably in another Canadian actor who's appeared in every Canadian show from the time period that every other Canadian actor does. He was on The Littlest Hobo.
Oh, nice.
The Park is Mine, which is a TV movie that's been out for a while. Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Ray Bradbury Theater, Street Legal. He was on The Santa Claus, the Tim Allen movie, playing an ad executive. He played Bobby Drake. He was on Kung Fu Legend Continues. He did a voice on the Ultra Force cartoon, which is a deep cut from this time period as well. He was in Psy Chronicles, Forever Night, Wind at My Back, Ready or Not, all these like deeply Canadian shows.
Psy Chronicles was good stuff.
But more interestingly enough, he was on Darkman 2, The Return of Durant, which is a funny little. His last credits in 2007. And it was a short in which the name of the short was At the Suicide of the Last Jew in the World and the Last Cinema in the World. So his career is obviously going places.
You get another point for us, Dave?
In the flashback, the X-Men fight Super Adaptoid.
Oh, I meant to bring that up.
Oh,
Shit.
that's a good one.
That was
Good
cool.
catch.
And at that point, so that was part of during that fight, Lorna gets hurt. And that's part of the reason why Bobby wants to leave, because he doesn't want Lorna to be in danger.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was part of it. So that does kind of connect that story a little bit. I forgot that part. Yeah, no, the Super Adaptoid was cool to see, which is interesting because he's adapting all the Avengers powers.
Yeah,
right?
but he's fighting the X-Men.
But he's fighting the X-Men.
He just came from a fight with the Avengers.
On the way home from the Avengers fight, he runs into the X-Men. He's like, oh, shit, that fight with the Avengers couldn't have gone any worse. So then he just goes to buy milk at the store, and the X-Men are there. He's like, oh, shit.
At least I still have those Avengers powers.
Yes.
All right, my next one is X Factor and the X-Men aren't supposed to know each other. They're not affiliated with Xavier or anything, but everyone on X Factor, except for Quicksilver, is wearing a big red X.
Because they're X Factor.
I guess so.
You think like in She-Hulk, Professor X would like turn around and sue.
Yeah.
Yeah, really though. X Factor. I guess, yeah. I mean, they are X Factor. Good point, but that just seemed odd.
Agreed.
That they don't know each other. Like, they really should have built in a connection between Xavier and some of those characters, I think. Well, other than Polaris, I guess.
Next point's me, right?
Yep.
What is it with the X-Men universe and brothers or relatives not hurting each other? Because we've seen this earlier with Black Tom Cassidy and Banshee's powers not working on each other as well. Who are brothers in this show, right?
They're cousins in the comics.
Cousins. No, but they're brothers on this show. And the kind of this show, they're brothers. So it's like interesting idea that like, it seems strange to me that that brothers can't hurt each other in or siblings, direct siblings. So
it's one of those things that Chris Claremont like planted early on. Like both the instances were like so early in his run on X-Men that it seemed like it was going to become a thing that like related mutants can't use their powers on each other, but it ends up.
How far down does that go though?
That
like,
far. It goes as far as oh, you mean blood-wise? I have no idea. But it only goes as far as like Black Tom, Banshee, and Siren can't hurt each other. And Cyclops.
Would it be great if like mutants are looking at their ancestry.com just to see who they can fight and who they can't fight? It's like, oh shit, I'm a fifth cousin of Magneto. God damn it, I can't fight him now. His powers won't work.
Can Vulcan hurt?
That's what I was thinking. Because I think he can, but they're only half brothers.
Mm.
So halves don't count, man. This is some arbitrary rules, man. It's getting into the weeds.
But it only hurts half as much.
He only half hurts them. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that.
Okay. All right, Dave, you have another one.
Yeah, I have one. I don't know if this counts as an X point, but like, Forge says that it's got to be good for us to have a friendly skirmish or whatever with the X-Men. The X Factor people, when they're recovering from all having shit beaten out of them, they are so demoralized looking as they walk.
Yeah, they look so sad.
All their heads are like hanging low. They're like, oh no. It's I don't know if that's actually the effect Forge intended for it to have.
I wanted to demoralize my team. Now, and I have. Mission accomplished. Thank you, X-Men.
Forge is gonna have our legs broke.
Was Forge the leader of X Factor before?
No, he was on the team.
Oh, he wasn't the leader? Who was the leader?
Havoc.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Really thought it was Forge, but I never read of like a line one of Peter David's X Factor. It didn't have newsstand distribution. So
do you think in the 90s when they're coming up with names for characters, they just took out a thesaurus and looked up cool words, and then whatever the versions of them were, they're like, what's destruction? And you just go, Havoc. That's a name for an X-Men.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that still goes on in a lot of things. I think that's
Strong Guy's an odd choice.
All right. Well,
it was treated as a joke, like, it's just like, I'll be a strong guy. But, yeah, I know Cable was a point of contention. Nick Chiesa didn't want him to be called Cable. He wanted him to be called like X-Soldier or something like that. But,
Soldier X.
Yeah.
Dial up.
And why do they call him Cable? Like Cable makes no sense. Like what? Like his powers aren't related to being to cables.
Sounding word, and his arm looked like a big bunch of like metal cables.
I'm not arguing with the name. I kind of think the name is cool, but it just seems like a last name. Like if your name was John Cable or something, right? Then that's like, okay, that sounds kind of cool, I guess. Like the fucking Stallone movie Cobra. Maybe that's where it came from, because that was around that time, late 80s. Cobra. And then his name is like John Cobra. Like, what the fucking name is that? It's like we just call him that because we can call the movie Cobra.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess my last X point, which is the 10th one here, is the Angel thing. I kind of just wish Angel had been the 5th member of the team.
Yeah.
It's just a little distracting. I mean, it's cool that Polaris was still the next oldest one, which was pretty cool. They kept that going. Not a big continuity wonk as far as this having to be like the comics or anything.
Well, they show all this early like stuff with Iceman on the team. They don't show anything with Polaris.
Yeah,
so she must have been
I
there.
think it would have added something to those Angel episodes.
Friend of theirs. He mostly interacts with Rogue, who was a new member anyway. So even like she didn't know him, but there's a flashback later on. I want to say it's like an episode called like Xavier's Memories or something like that, where it shows the original team or like some form of the team, and it has the 05 including Angel, and then Rogue and Gambit, and Rogue is in her like black and green uniform, and Gambit just doesn't have his jacket. That's like his big difference.
Interesting.
That's a real continuity.
So Rogue could have been here.
Check this out.
Hey, check this out. This is our comic recommendations, reminiscences. I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Peter David, because I have read a lot of Peter David X Factor, and I quite like it. So, actually, my first little recommendation is the X. I'm pretty sure this is the last issue of X-Men: The House of 92 series. It wrapped up pretty cool. It was a fun little series.
It just seems strange to me they make series now. They're like, what if this part of continuity happened earlier? Yeah. It's just like a what if comic, essentially. Like, what if the Clone Saga happened in, I guess it did kind of happen in the 80s, but like, what if it happened earlier? Like, it's weird.
So I've recommended the original X Factor team before.
Yeah, because the Apocalypse episode.
Yep. So once they get to issue 71, we get the all new, all different X Factor who we see in this episode. Same exact team.
Is Quicksilver's costume the same costume in this one, the blue and white one?
Quicksilver isn't on this cover, but he is part of the main team. He's on the next one here in 87.
He's a blue and white costume. Like
he always stands out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't match the coloring of the others, I noticed. Everyone else is yellow and blue.
And he generally doesn't wear an X, and the rest of them do. He's too cool for that. He's an Avenger.
It's especially odd because those were all brand new costumes. So, like, why not give him
Yeah.
I mean, he could have easily just made the lightning bolts yellow and the costume a darker blue, and it would have matched everything else.
Yeah.
Like, why not just change the coloring?
Go read this whole run because it's pretty cool. But my main recommendation is X Factor number 87, which is the examinations issue where they all get psychoanalyzed by Doc Samson.
Oh, I've heard this. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the scene where they all have to come in and lay on the chair. And he psychoanalyzes them all. And it's pretty funny. It's a legendary X Factor issue. Number 87. Go check it out by Peter David.
Wow.
Now,
where's the issue when they get the shit beaten out of them by the X-Men and they're all completely demoralized?
I don't have that one here, but they do talk about failures in the examinations. But then Peter David comes back for volume 3. And check that out. This is Madrox's team. So you get Cyclops' team, and then you get Havoc's team, and then you get Madrox's X Factor.
I'm just looking at that because I was thinking about Peter David's X Factor run. I looked it up on Amazon while we were talking. This is the thing about getting these runs. It's really on sale good. Actually. The omnibus on sale for $86.
On this team, you get led by Multiple Man, of course. You get M, Monet St. Clair. You get Wolfsbane still there. Strong Guy's still there. That's Layla Miller at the adult version.
So when he reinvented X Factor at this point in 2005, the Magic series came out before that.
Siren. That might be Siren actually.
Yeah,
Never mind. I think that's Siren. And Victor in the back there.
So when Peter David brought them back in 2005, he set that up before in the Magic series in 2004. Is that right?
Yeah, the Magic series is a good series too. It's pretty short.
It's only 5 issues according to this.
Yeah. I had the trade, but I don't find it, so I think maybe I gave it away, probably to X-Man Dan. But it's really good. I love the X Factor run. But you get to the volume 2 on the trades of X Factor volume 3. I have the first of them in single issue, but in this one it starts with issue 13, which is re-examinations. So he does the same thing with the psychoanalyzation of the X Factor team in the shrink's chair, but it's Madrox's team instead. But it's like some of the same guys. So like Strong Guy was in both of them. So it's just like them talking about his issues some more, and examinations and re-examinations. Those are my main recommendations. But Peter David X Factor is in general, it's good stuff.
Yeah, the trade, like I said, the first trade's on sale on Amazon right now. Not that I want to promote people going to Amazon. Go to your local comic store, but it's out there, and it's not too bad. $80 for the first omnibus is pretty good. It's marked down from $125.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The second one is due out soon for $150. It's not out yet, but
do it up, people, at your local comic book store.
That's right. Although
what's your recommendation, Andre?
Well, in true factor of me recommending things that aren't X-Men related, because that's what Davan does, I've decided to... Pardon?
You fool.
I know.
Yeah.
So I picked this up
recently. Keeping this show together, Dave, I'm telling you.
Well, it's because my X-Men series isn't so... Actually, what we should do in this show... I did see that beautiful cat behind you.
Yep. Yeah, that's a pretty cute cat bum.
So, which cat is that? You have 2, right?
Chester.
Oh, Chester.
Anybody?
Named after a Chesterfield.
No, that's a shelter name.
Oh, and he kept it. I'm surprised you didn't name him something like comic related. You had a Felicia in the past, didn't you? Named after Black Cat? Dave, didn't you have a cat named Felicia?
I think got unplugged. What were you saying?
Didn't you have a cat named Felicia at one point?
No.
I thought you did.
Man cats only. Man cats only.
Oh, I love his nose. It's so adorable. All right. So because Halloween is approaching and I grabbed this off my shelf, it's something I read recently. I'm a big fan of Joe Hill and his comics, specifically Lock and Key. But this series came out, which is a combination of all his Hill House comics. He didn't write them all. He just sort of ran this imprint, which were different horror comics done by different artists. But one of the ones he had done, which is drawn by Stuart Immonen, I never pronounced his name right, but I think I might have got it right. Immonen, was called Plunge. So this is the box set, but this is the one he did. It's a great little horror comic that basically takes place in the Arctic with a group of people uncovering a lost sort of community ship that ran afoul of some basically lost. It kind of reminds me of The Thing a little bit. It's like these weird alien larvae things that inject people and kind of make them all part of this hive mind. So this group of people, salvage people that are going to like salvage this wreck, come across this other team that get lost this place and taken over by these things and kind of get wrapped up into this thing. But some comics really feel like they're just primed to be a movie, and this really does. It's a really good, fun, atmospheric, dark sort of comic that sort of fits into that sort of isolation of being underwater, submarine, trapped in a place, surrounded by enemies at all turns. Very, very good. Check out the Hills collection if you want to, you get the money to splurge on it. But it's a super cool little set. It's got 2 Joe Hill books in it, Basket Full of Heads and Plunge, and then books by Carmen Maria Mikado, M.R. Carey, Laura Marks, and an extra one by Joe Hill called Sea Dogs, which I think is about werewolf pirates, which looks fun too. I haven't read that one yet, but the others are really good. Check it out.
Yeah.
Plunge by Joe Hill.
And also go pick up David Cutler's Moon Girl and X-Men comic.
That's right.
Yeah, do that. It's probably still covered in cobwebs at your.
I just messaged Strange Adventures when we talked about it at the beginning of the show and told them to put it aside for me. So.
Oh, thank God! We've got a billion of them.
You're gonna get
double the sales.
That sweet residual check will be one. It will come in.
Lining the dog's kennel with them, keeps eating them. I'm going to recommend Generation X.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
What else would I get to? This is another 90s, also ran X-Men team, written by Scott Lobdell, and more importantly, for the most part, the best part of the first 30 issues are all drawn by Chris Bacalo, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
Bacalo, maybe.
I love the Spider-Man stuff.
It's fantastic. This is like the real 90s. Like, for some reason, like the 90s didn't quite make it to comics. Like, they got to the hair metal phase of the world and they kind of stalled out there. But this is like the grunge X-Men. This is like the cool shit. And you can get it currently in this is Generation X Classic. This is out of print. But
Back to School, is that the first volume?
Back to School is the first volume of Epic Collection, which has more stuff anyway, so you're better off. But
that's the one you have in your hand, right? It's on Amazon. You can get it.
Oh yeah. I threw away the one that I was showing before.
Oh, okay.
And just came out, which I haven't actually gotten around to rereading yet. I read it as a kid, but M-Plate's Revenge with a ridiculous Joe Madureira cover. Not his strongest work, but that's what I'm going to recommend. It's beautiful. And
this is one of those things that has been a blind spot for me, that I always remember seeing the ads for it when it came out, but this is before the internet was really a thing where you could really just look up stuff all the time. Did you watch the TV movie they made, the Generation X one?
I've watched it.
It was a show pilot, actually.
But it was like a TV movie that was supposed to be a pilot if it did well,
I watched it posthumously, like not the right word. I've watched it long since, basically, but I did not watch it when it first aired.
Was it good?
Nobody.
No, God, it's
really bad.
Awful.
Matt Frewer was the villain, which I thought was interesting.
You see like a few seconds of Beast, and he's like the most horrifying thing ever put to film. He looks like a hairless rat man. He's got these glowing red eyes. I may be misrepresenting because it's like I'm going by memory, but it's truly a horror show.
How many of those Epic Collection Generation X volumes are there? Just 2?
They're just 2 so far, and I would recommend getting up to 3 when the next one comes out, because it's Scott. Not that I'm like going to sit here and tell you that Scott Lobdell is one of the greatest writers in the world, but he did a very good job on this. He really like stretched his writing chops, and the threads. I don't know why he leaves something. It's very abrupt, so I would guess it's something behind the scenes. But all the threads that he leaves are like not handled very well by the next writer, and that's like part of why like Monet's backstory is so confused, because he didn't really leave behind a blueprint of what he was going to do with her, and it doesn't make any sense what they did with her. But
can you do me a favor and pull some strings at Marvel and find out if they're going to release the Spider-Girl the Complete Collection Volume 5? I've been waiting for that forever.
I mean, like the Mayday Parker.
Yeah, I've been buying those complete collections as they've been putting them out, but they haven't announced a 5 in a while. I'm really hoping they haven't abandoned it because it wasn't doing well. They really want that whole set.
That's like recently they've been putting those out.
Yeah, I got the first 4. The last one came out in April. Well, this year of April of 2022.
Oh, you're gonna get more, I'm sure.
But this one is they just put out Complete Collection Volume 4. It's the worst when you're buying these and then you miss that maybe that's the end. I know this isn't the end for Spider-Girl, but I was also doing the John Byrne Man of Steel collections, and then like the 4th one came out, and I was like, "Where's the 5th one?" And then I found out that's it. The 4th one is all of it.
Yeah. Well, DC's trade program isn't super reliable, but with Marvel, you can more or less they're going to finish stuff. I mean, the Epic Collection line is batshit in terms of like the stuff that it covers and all this stuff that's never been collected before.
I kind of hate they don't number them though. It's harder to keep track of and trying to go back. Do they?
Yeah, it's just not on the spine. So it's like their incentive of like people only buy volume 1s essentially.
Yeah.
So they don't put a number on it anywhere. So
they just put what comics are in it on the back.
Yeah, but on the back it does say volume 1. And
okay.
It gives you the years basically, so you can order them like that. But the other thing is they can jump around. So like they can go to like a really popular part of the run first, even though it's like, 6 volumes in, and then go back to the less popular one to get the heat from the popular run on the less popular run, and then go to another one. And so far it seems like they found the formula to really be able to collect these things and keep it going and not leave us, with one volume of Generation X Classic and nothing else.
Well, yeah, you probably have all the single issues, that Spider-Girl stuff, but the collections are really nice. The complete collections for Spider-Girl.
I honestly don't have a single one, because my friends and I used to divvy up, like, you get this, I get that. So my friend Michael used to get Spider-Girl, and so I don't have a issue.
Yeah, the first 4 volumes are out, and they're all really cool.
It's my remote with Andre. Recommend a movie, Andre, and I'll be right back.
All right, so Dave, I generally he doesn't care about my movie choice at all. So basically, the way this was set up was that he knows I'm in a movie, so he wanted me to do movies.
Oh, yeah, you were doing this last time I was on. It's maybe been 3 weeks since I watched, but I'm aware.
He's recently given me the extra hurdle of it has to be in the 90s, from the 90s.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. So I've been trying to make them relevant to. Oh, hey, buddy. Since we're all showing off our kitties today, I got one right here. There's Lebowski.
No.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
say hi to everybody.
Big boy. It's a big boy.
Big fella. He's my guy. Of all the cats, I got 4 of them. He's most mine, I would say.
Yeah. Very cute.
He likes to come in and bother me when I'm doing stuff. He's very cute. All right, so yeah, I generally have tried. So I struggle to find. I've been trying to keep them just as an extra, like giving myself an extra hurdle, to make them relevant to the episode in some manner. So like the last episode, which was about Mojo, I did the movie Stay Tuned, which is one of my favorite movies with John Ritter.
I remember it well.
It's trapped in the TV. I love that movie. So anyway, I try to pick a movie about, or something about a guy chasing a girl that turns out not to be what she is. And then, he loses his job or something, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, I landed on this one, which is the 1995 classic about men chasing after a woman who's not what she seems. Species. Is it a good movie? No. Is it a great movie? Very much not so. Is it a fun movie? Yes. And in a way that's it's very much a product of its time. You have basically humans finding alien DNA and in true human fashion deciding to merge it with an embryo and make their own kind of woman out of it, who has this predestined alien need to procreate with multiple men all the time, which is just a reason to have her be naked a lot.
Oh,
But-
multiple men. That's another parallel to this episode.
Exactly. She has to try to get with, like, basically it's all these men that are kind of compelled to want to sleep with her. We're talking about Species, Davan, the 1995 classic.
You just recommended Species?
Well, I'm not. Look, you missed the first part. I said, is this a great movie? No. Is it a good movie? Probably not. Is it a fun movie? Kind of. And for that
It's
reason,
very
it's worth
90s.
watching. It's
I
very,
liked
that's
it
what
in
I
the
said that too. It's very much a product of its time. But she's going around trying to get a guy to procreate with her, and of course, she looks gorgeous.
Natasha Henstridge.
So it's not. You know the names. Look at you.
Yeah, man. I'm a child of the 90s.
It even says "and introducing Natasha Henstridge" on the back, which is funny.
Mhm.
Dave, just to reiterate, the cat has come back, crawled up on my leg, and is asleep on my foot right now.
No.
That's how fast he works. So, an alarmingly robust cast of popular actors that have no business being in a movie like this.
Isn't
It
Ben
stars
Kingsley in this movie?
Ben Kingsley,
Yeah.
Michael Madsen, Alfred Molina,
Oh, I
Forrest
forgot he
Whitaker.
was in it.
Forrest
Oh my
Whitaker,
God.
all in this movie.
But people wanted to do these, like, these were thought to be sort of like edgy adult sci-fi.
Because they were very
in the
sex
90s
based.
was, yeah.
Well, you could take the same concept and make an actual good movie. Like, have you seen Splice?
Yeah, I love Splice.
Yeah, I liked Splice.
It's the same basic movie.
But Sarah Pauli.
Yeah.
And Adrian Brody, but Vincenzo Natali directed that, who did the movie Cube, which is also a deeply Canadian movie that I love dearly. Hey, ow, what are you biting me for? Sorry, my guess. He wants attention. So I'll read the clip. When a beautiful human alien hybrid, Henstridge, escapes from an observation scientist, Xavier Fitch, which is such a 90s name, Xavier Fitch. Hey, Xavier. Dispatches a crew of experts to find her before she's able to fulfill her horrific purpose to mate with an unsuspecting man and produce offspring that could destroy mankind. As her deadly biological clock ticks rapidly, Fitch and his team are hurled into a desperate battle in which the fate of humanity itself hangs in the balance. If you want a similar movie that's also pretty fun, I suggest the 1980s movie by Toby Hooper, Life Force.
Oh, I've seen that. That's good.
Starring a naked alien vampire that wanders through England, sucking men of their life force, one of which inexplicably is Patrick Stewart. So check that out.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah. It's hilarious. He's hilarious
What were you doing? Playing with matches?
I love that quote from the Cyclops does a sojourn to an adoption agency episode.
16-bit gaming, not gambling, with Super Nintendo Skelhorn. All right, now today I'm gonna recommend, because the best games are 16-bit. I've been over this many times.
All the best games.
Pretty much.
No good game has come out that is beyond 16-bit, is what you're saying.
I was gonna say there's some good ones in 8-bit.
Okay, but nothing
No,
beyond.
no. Look,
the gaming industry should have wrapped with the Super Nintendo, is what you're saying.
well, no, 64 had some good stuff. Anyway, my point is most of the best games are in 16-bit. The best fighting game of all time happens to be this one, and everyone should play it. Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Yep, best fighting game. It's smooth, it's simple, but it's endlessly fun, and everyone go play. There's a lot of Street Fighter 2s. Some people like Street Fighter 2. Some people. Oh, Jameel's popping in. All right,
Jaemeel.
Jameel's saying.
What? He's just coming in.
What up, Jaemeel? Okay, Jaemeel left.
Bye, Jaemeel.
I think he didn't mean to come to this link.
No.
Well, it was nice seeing you, buddy.
It'd be better if it was like a real accident, like he's naked eating Cheetos or something. He's like, oh, it just cuts out.
That was
Anyway,
pretty funny. I think
continue.
he's trying to get to the Deep Space Nine show.
Oh my god!
And now that he says sorry. You could have said hi.
Jaemeel.
You could have said hi, Jaemeel. That's all. All right. Well, we got one more segment to go here, and then we'll wrap this up. See, we're all on the same network now, which I'll talk about later. So Jaemeel clicked on the wrong link and came here. It's the Deep Space Nine show starting over at Live Long Podcast. Wait till we're done here, then head over there. Or, head over there now, whatever. No, don't. Stay here with us. I have a theme song. I'm looking for it. I'll eventually find it. There it is.
You must believe me. I'm not going mad.
Welcome to the Crazy of Cutler. So, what's making you crazy, Dave? Either positively, negatively.
You're really reaching for these titles.
Yeah, I don't know even how to respond. Well, I don't know.
No, Dave, reveal to us whatever it's making. Would it be great if Dave was just like, well, last night I hit
I'm going to lay it all on you, fellas.
Dave just goes, last night I hit the bottle pretty hard, kind of blacked out. Woke up beating a homeless man to death with a brick outside of a bar. I don't know if he survived, whatever. He just like...
So he didn't start homeless, but he was after I took his home from him.
Yeah, Dave's like, I broke his legs. I think I broke his spine. He's not walking again, that's for sure. Anyway, how are you guys doing?
Andre's just describing his evening.
Hey,
anyway.
What it's a precursor of things to come.
Nothing's making me crazy. I'm watching She-Hulk, enjoying She-Hulk.
Are you
That's
loving
a good one. Let's talk
I
about
am
She-Hulk.
actually. I would call it my favorite MCU Marvel show.
I agree. Mine too. I liked all the others, but I really liked it. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It's funny and fun. And
I mean, look, we got to like I've only seen the first 3 episodes, and I got to see the Abomination again. I got to see the Wrecking Crew. I got to see kind of. I got I mean, obviously, it's the best you're going to get from this. They're not going to like at
Wrecking Crew in name only.
Yeah, essentially. But like, what do you like? Do you think in a world like in the world we live in with comics, do you think the Wrecking Crew ever really going to get a chance to like be featured in a prominent way? That you're going to get them to be like they're not.
I didn't want them to be prominent. I kind of wanted them to be somewhat worthy of a fight.
Yeah, it feels like they'll be back. I'm hoping that they get scooped up somehow.
Yeah, or just get better, trained by Taskmaster.
I do like where she says, would you guys just steal this from Asgardian Construction? Place the guy's like, yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Although I think it's like, what kind of security do they have at Asgardian Construction Zone so they can just wander in and steal pretty powerful weapons?
Yeah, didn't they say they mugged him? No, how could they have? He's an Asgardian.
No, they just stole from Construction Zone, they said.
But yeah, She-Hulk.
Davan,
it's fun.
Remember how I said on the graphic histories thing how I really wanted to see. I said, "What's the one plot thread in the Marvel universe they haven't picked up yet that you really wish they would?" And I said, "The leader," and he's the villain in the Captain America movie. Yeah. So I'm very excited. Although I would have loved to see him
it's going to be his world order.
Maybe they'll do the intelligentsia. We'll get I kind of think they might do the intelligentsia.
He better have the big head. If he doesn't have the big brain head, I'm gonna be.
I think we may get MODOK, or at least we'll get maybe.
We have MODOK confirmed. He's in the Ant-Man movie.
Oh, is that Jim Carrey? Wasn't that like the rumor?
That was a rumor.
That'd be interesting. But I mean, I'd like to see maybe they just do the intelligentsia. Like we'll get the leader with oh god, Arnim Zola. Maybe bring him back, and Toby Jones still hanging around.
Yeah,
maybe MODOK from the other thing. That'd be fun.
Betty Ross was on that team.
Yeah, I guess they get Liv Tyler back. I guess. I love they got. I love that they got.
Whoops! You got ahead of there.
I was gonna say, I love that they got Tim Roth back as the Abomination.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was funny in it too. I like Tim Roth.
Yeah, I love his multiple wives. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm really digging this, and I love how even in the episode I just watched, because Wong makes an appearance. She even says at the beginning while addressing us, "This isn't just going to be a cameo show all the time." And I know I know Charlie Cox is still coming as Daredevil at some point this season, so it's very much a cameo show. But
it's pretty cameo heavy, but
it's great.
It's all just fourth wall breaking.
We haven't seen from the trailer. We haven't seen Frogman yet.
Yeah, Frogman.
Some kind of Superheroes Anonymous thing where you see a few. It looks like maybe the Porcupine is there.
Oh, yes, awesome. I did hear that as well. The one thing I think is, I was telling my wife this, is like I love that we're at this stage of the Marvel universe, on film, that we have an established continuity that's been happening for a decade. So now we can go back and have fun with it and do callbacks and do this stuff. And now we really feels like it's a really working, cohesive universe. Because in the Marvel universe proper, I mean, people have been missing for 5 years. New York's been attacked. All of this stuff has happened. Asgard has a place on Earth now. There's light elves that can pretend to be Megan Thee Stallion. There's all kinds of incredible, which is hilarious. There's all kinds of incredibly goofy stuff like that I really love, that we're at a level now that it's all integrated. We can have fun with it. So I'm really excited about for future She-Hulk stuff, and I hope this goes on for a very long time. It's great. And Tatiana Maslany.
And it's really short. They're not giving us a lot of episodes of She-Hulk, so.
Well, we're getting 10, which is the most Disney so far, yeah.
Okay. Right
And
on. Still seems
yeah,
like too few.
I haven't watched the trailer for Secret Wars yet, but I know that's the next one. So, or not Secret Wars? Is it Secret War? No, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
That's
The,
right.
the trailer was awesome, actually. I'm looking
I gotta watch that. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited. Okay, so homework from Professor. What is it? Excellence, Andre.
Andre.
Is to watch the next episode, which is Savage Land, Strange Heart, Part 1. Provocative title, which
kind of
will
describes
receive,
our podcast.
Yes, which will receive the return of such mainstays as Khazar, Zabu, also Sauron, and some new characters as well. So,
Any shot of the she-devil? Is she showing up
I
again?
guess no, she's not listed in the episode from the cast list I'm seeing. So, but we will see. Maybe they'll answer some of that thread that got pulled after Mr. Sinister got kicked out of the Savage Land. Maybe not when Sauron was like, "Now I can take over."
Oh yeah,
but,
that's probably
we'll,
where they're
we'll see
picking up.
where this is headed. So.
Alrighty, you got anything to plug, Dave? Other than your recent comic?
Other than what just came out.
What was that project you're working on that's coming out in digital media, Dave? You want to tell us about that again?
Yeah, the one that was you were ready to talk about.
We told us all the details, but we missed it. So
little story called Savage Land Something Heart.
What a coincidence!
What a coincidence!
You wrote these episodes,
Dave. You missed a prime example to just do the same thing that Professor Xavier does, where he's like, Jubilee, and she's like, busted. Busted.
Anything happening here, Andre?
Still on hiatus. However, I'm thinking I may do once the play I'm in is over, I'll be back to this. This thing is just incredibly time intensive for me at this point. So, although I think I might do some follow up episodes of people I've had on the show again, because time's passed, see where life has taken them. Dave, you want to come on the show again? We could talk about something else.
I was about to suggest the first episode.
Yeah, I do. But maybe when I have something that I can talk about.
No, that's true. I don't know. I think when we talked last time, we were kind of. I really like. I think the 2-parter I did with you was probably my favorite episode I've done so far, and I've loved all the episodes. It's really good. I love one of my favorite lines ever is when Dave says when he said. And anybody listening, you can go back and listen to those episodes. They're all available on wherever you get your podcasts and on my website. But where Dave found out he was of Native heritage, and he said that like his whole life, was playing Cowboys and Indians and all this. And then he said it's like finding out you come from a long line of putties. Like your father was a putty, his father was a putty, and his father was killed by the first run of the
Power Rangers.
The Power Rangers. But someday, if you play your character,
Green Ranger,
you too might be able to fight the Power Rangers in the Lost Galaxy.
Oh boy! I was gonna say the first episode of your new season, me and Dave will interview you.
That would be fun. Yeah. Do that. I'd line up for that. That'd be fun.
All right, there you go. That's what your listeners want. They haven't gotten the in-depth look at Andre.
Hey,
I interviewed Andre on Locutors of Trek one time.
Yes, but you also made me read 18 issues of a Star Trek Deep Space Nine comic from Malibu Comics in the 90s.
Which didn't leave a lot of Andre time, I'll admit. But so yeah, check out Locutors of Trek. We got an episode coming up soon. Maybe a Class L probe on Sunday. That'll be fun. Where this is our deep dives from the Deep 8-9 show I do. All these things are now found over at Live Long and Podcast. We've been absorbed over the Locutors have by Live Long and Podcast here. And not too hostile. Was
there a congenial
bit of hull damage? A little bit of hull damage. That's it. Right. And go over there right now. They're doing their Deep Space Nine review. I'm gonna hop over there after I.
Dave, what's the best Star Trek series?
Well, I don't agree with you. I could.
You don't? Oh.
I just like TNG. I've seen a lot of Voyager. I only saw season 1 of DS9.
What? That's the problem.
Oh well, that's the worst one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's like the principle with these shows. You have to make it for the first season. But
you can watch the first season of TNG. You can watch anything. Yeah.
Very true.
Check out Super Mario Brothers. They do the Big Brother stuff over there as well, and reality shows. Check out Trivia Debates. I just hosted the music edition on Sunday. That was a fun time. Lots of good debates over there, such as what was the greatest music contribution in history, human history, and other questions like
human history.
That was a big question. Yeah, and there was also which TV show would be better as a musical. What do you fellas think?
TV show be better as a musical?
Yeah.
What if they did a musical episode and it was so great you would have liked to see more of it, like Buffy? Would that work?
Sure, why not?
Yeah. What show would be better? Lost. Lost would have been better show as a musical.
Okay. There you have it. Lost. That didn't
Dave,
get into the
Dave,
debate.
best musical contribution in all of human history.
Today I have that song stuck in my head from like Dance Mix '95.
From what? From what? 95?
It's like Dance Mix '95. It goes like doopy 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 doop 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 doopy 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 day. Yo, remember that song? No.
Oh yeah.
Doopy 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 doop doop doop. I don't need your love. That stuck in my head all day.
See, I would probably go with blue ba da ba dee ba ba doo.
That song actually comes up in the debate.
Wow, that
was somebody's pick for the debate of what was the best song to introduce aliens to.
I mean, I think
somebody
most
picked
people.
Blue.
I think if you look at it culturally, you'd have to say something by the Beatles. But I mean, everybody has something that comes.
That may have been somebody's answer. Anyway, check out the debate.
If you want to throw in mine, it's "Dark Side of the Moon" by Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Or maybe "The Wall" by Pink Floyd. Either of those two.
I don't even know what mine is. It's something by Robert Johnson, probably. "Come in My Kitchen," something like that. Or Beethoven. No, I said probably like Beethoven's Sixth or something. Anyway.
Well, and honestly, it'd be whoever created Wax Cylinders or whatever the way you could play music and move it amongst other people instead of just live. That would probably be the actual one.
Yeah, maybe. Support the show, Patreon/X-Men Review Show. You can be cool like Jaemeel and Daniel and Ryan. Are fine.
And if you join, Dave Cutler will personally send you a message about what this next project is.
He will. Send us your email.
Dave doesn't register at all.
It's exciting.
Like, watch Dave get fired from Marvel in a single video. This reminds me of like I have I'm a huge fan of Twin Peaks, and there's this gold box set they put it on DVD years ago and had special features, and one of them was when Kyle MacLachlan hosted SNL back when he was on Twin Peaks. And there's the opening, he comes out, he talks to the audience, he's like, "I'll take all your questions." And someone has a question about Twin Peaks, he's like, and a question about this, he goes, "Yep." And someone else goes, "Who killed Laura Palmer?" And he goes, "Yeah, it was Leo." And he goes on to the next one, and it's like before they revealed it on the show. And then he's like, someone comes over and he's like, "Kyle, there's a call for you." He's like, "Phone call?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's David Lynch." He's like, "David Lynch is on the phone." He goes over and he puts the phone in his ear. You just hear someone screaming like on the phone, and he's like, "That thing I said earlier, disregard that. It's not important. You don't need to know." I love Dave's on our podcast. He gets a call. It's like, "What? Who's the editor-in-chief at Marvel now?"
CB Cebulski.
Yeah,
Cebulski wants to talk to me. Oh, and you see Dave's face go, "Oh, I see. I'm sorry, sir." Yes,
I guarantee you, he does not know who I am.
So, David, about that Moon Girl issue.
Yeah. But the part turns out she's secretly Kang from another universe. I'm really excited to see where that goes. Thanks for revealing that on this episode.
You can contact us at Gmail, X-Men Review Show. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcast. And, if you like us, please like, review, and subscribe. Or even donate on Patreon. Yeah. And X-Rated is a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. More to come on that later.
And also, just as a side note, read everything Dave's done. And this isn't just to plug him because he's a friend of the show and a friend of ours and my former roommate. But Dave his comics are fantastic, man.
Yeah.
The Heritage Voices and the one shot.
That's awesome.
The one shot with Thunderbird. It's fantastic, man. Those
right
are
on my
amazing.
wall, right there.
They're fantastic.
Right there where everyone can see.
And I really hope this leads into more, Dave, because I really want to just buy and read an ongoing series by David Cutler.
Me too.
Yeah,
I want it to be an X-Men series, preferably with Mojo.
There's my answer. One Sweet Day by Boys to Men.
Boys to Men is your contribution.
I'll make love to you when you want me to.
I prefer their cameo on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episode.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
It turns out that Will Smith used to make fun of one of them a lot as a kid. Like
one of my favorite gags on The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is when. What's the name of the guy? Tiberius? Whatever.
Titus.
Yeah. He's singing at a funeral, but it's like, he's just it's not a funeral for anybody he knows. but he's been like kind of past the mic, so he starts to sing a Boys to Men song, but it's the wrong Boys to Men song. he thinks he's singing One Sweet Day, but it's the I'll Make Love to You song. But he doesn't realize it until he gets to the chorus.
It's amazing.
Well, this is officially our longest episode ever.
Really?
Any closing remarks?
No.
Dave, I'm happy you're on the show, man. I hope you come on more.
Yeah,
often.
man.
Yeah,
You want to come on another one this season? Are we going to see you?
Yeah, I gave Devin a list.
I got a list of like 5 episodes.
Yeah, Evan,
So
God bless
after the
you for doing all this
reshifting,
stuff.
a lot of them are actually in the next season now.
No, we don't want that. Let's pick. I'm going to pick one at random from this season. And
No,
Dave's
we're
gonna be
just picking
that
one.
way.
I'll do a
No,
Dark
Dave
Phoenix
said he
episode.
wanted to come back for the first Dark Phoenix, I believe.
Yeah, I'll
Like,
do Dark
it's
Phoenix.
Isn't that
that's
like
in,
2
3
episodes away? Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Oh, maybe
3
the last Dark Phoenix then. I don't know.
What?
Okay.
Come on. All right. Well, we love you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Something in the
Yeah, thanks for having me. Now I've got to go feed a hungry
We
cat.
have overstayed our welcome.
Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time.
Bye.
1, 2, 3.